Hello and welcome to the Get Good EU Season 2 Intermediate Group, C and D. Our first match of the day between Diamond SR Forever and TAPAZ. I am Spaceman and I am joined by the ever youthful Yokai. Yokai, you into Bond films at all?
I'm not too into Bond films, so I can definitely say that this one is set to be about as action-packed as a Bond film. We have two teams very similar SR ranges, and a lot of them have their specialty heroes. Looking at the side of Diamond SR Forever, we have City User, who I've been told is an insane aura, as their manager put it. Seems to be a very versatile player, though formerly their off-tank player as well. So, hopefully we do get to see some of that Farah, and maybe we're not stuck to watching goats for 5 maps.
I don't know. Contrary to most people's opinions, I don't mind watching Goats if it's played well, but certainly interesting seeing the quad DPS compositions being played at the higher levels and things like that. And maybe that'll trickle down to here as well. So hopefully we do see some Farah. Always good to see. And I know both teams are looking to get underway here, but they are both in the top two spots at the moment of their group, so they will be getting through to playoffs, right? But it's going to be super important for the winner here because the winner will go through to the playoffs with a better seeding, right?
Yes, of course. The winner of this match is going to take that top seed of the group, and I believe that means they're going to face the fourth seed of the other group within this tournament. Right now, both teams are sitting on that 7-1 record, but once this match is over, one of them won't be. One of them will be taking that second loss, and therefore taking the second place seed in the group.
Yeah, so neither team wanting to lose out here, and both teams wanting to have the best chance of getting through those early stages in the playoffs, because you don't want to come up against a tougher team early in the group stages, right? Early in the playoff stages, and then get knocked out early on, where you might want to warm up a little bit before you go into your next match and your next match. And there's always the pre-playoff jitters that some players need to get over as well. So going in and having perhaps a little bit of a warm up might be the word to use on perhaps a lower skilled team tends to be the preferred option. So both teams here vying for first place in their group. And let's have a little look at the maps. Will we be going to Nepal first? It seems.
No, it doesn't. I don't think we will be. In fact, I think looking at the map pool, it's Lijiang or Oasis for our first map, then Gibraltar or Rialto, Horizon or Anubis, Kings Row or Hollywood, and then if we do indeed go to that fifth map, as far as I'm aware, will be the opposite control map that we play on the first map here. So, very wide hero pools required here for these maps. All of the maps are very versatile, aside from maybe Kings Row and the tanks and Hollywood. But on Assault, you can see a lot of different compositions, specifically Horizon. In the Overwatch League, we've been seeing a lot of that triple DPS with that Zenyatta, the Mercy, and the Hammond, which I'll really be looking out for today. It's always fun to see him swinging from the roofs, and where else for him to go than his home turf in Horizon?
Indeed. And I'll tell you what, I've been watching a lot of the Overwatch League recently, probably too much for my own health, really, at the times it is in the EU anyway. And we've seen some really decent Horizon play, and there's a lot of strategies that you can play, especially in defense. We even saw some. We saw some Goats matchups, obviously, but we saw some high ground defenses with Orisa, etc. And even the week before in Overwatch League on different maps like Ilios, we even saw some Torb play. So who knows? Maybe we'll see some Torb play today.
I would be very happy to see some Torb play, although unfortunately we're not going to the home of the Torbjorn pick in the Overwatch League this season, which was Ilios. But it can work on Lijiang, it can work on Oasis, and also speaking of Lijiang Tower, we're looking at Diamond SR Forever here, and they actually told me they are currently unbeaten on Control Center. So if you do get forced to that map, if you're TAPAZ, you will really be fighting an uphill battle. And yeah, it does in fact look like we will be going to Lijiang Tower for that first map.
Undefeated so far in the tournament. Maybe you're a bit nervous about that, not wanting to lose on that, because if you're undefeated and then you lose early on in this series on that map, there's a little bit of psychological pressure there on the team. You get beaten on your best map. Statistically speaking, on paper, that could be at the back of your mind, or maybe not. Maybe they'll just absolutely trounce on the first map. We shall have to wait and see. But I think it's going to be very dependent on which map we get for Lijiang, right? Because they're all played slightly differently.
The worst case scenario that TAPAZ could get is going to that on a third point on Lijiang, but you say that it can give you nerves, but it could also give them a massive amount of confidence, and I think this matchup will be not just about, who is the more skilled team, but with it being a best of 5, a first to 3, so we will be playing at least 3 maps. It will be whoever can carry the momentum between maps. And, if a team does go 3 down, can they come back from it? Can they fight back up in this uphill battle with the pressure on and with, momentum against them? And I think whoever can carry that and fight against it the best will win this series.
Yeah, it is best of 5, and if you're down two games at the start of that series, right, and you've got to stay in the game, the pressure is on, but the pressure's kind of off a little bit for the team that tends to be ahead, and sometimes teams tend to take their foot off the gas a little bit, so to speak, as well. So we're going to see how this unravels. Before anything, we're going to be going to Lijiang Tower, and it is Night Market.
Night Market, of course, another one of these very versatile, very open maps in terms of composition. Specifically, we do usually see the 3-3 composition come out at the start, teams meeting right in the middle in front of that big shrine. But we have seen the Hammond come out, we have seen the triple DPS, we have even seen some Pharah. This is one of the best Pharah maps in the game, Lijiang Tower. So, we're going into a bit of a pause here, it seems, but, looking at Pharah in this matchup, especially with City User, I'd be surprised if Diamond SR Forever don't at least somewhat show the Pharah on this first map.
Yeah, Pharah really, really good play here, especially if you're good at it. You can get some really good angles around that point, just firing the rockets through the windows, get some extra damage in there. You sometimes see some Mei play on this map, although not all the time, because there's not too many choke points for that wall to be used. Lucio is obviously almost a staple, just in case you can get those environmental kills, which are always lovely to see. But we'll see which heroes the teams decide to lock in when they get underway. We might just see standard traditional Zen goats, right? A lot of teams do choose to run that.
We're talking about goats, though. A lot of the variations we'll see. You mentioned the Mei. If one of your teams does opt to run that Mei goats, it's going to be also about what do they switch out. If they swap out the Diva, you could maybe make the swap to an Ana, and then suddenly you take away all of that sustain. There's nothing really to counter that biotic grenade or the sleep dots or anything that could really displace your team. Oh, the Mei pick is more of a staple on Control Center rather than here, as you say. Night Market not exactly known for its tight choke points, although there is 2 very big ones right for the mega health packs. But I think to start this off, teams may play it safe, or they may even scout out and give up that first fight just for the compositional advantage, which, might I add, in this meta, should I say, is very important.
We're talking about City User on that Pharah. Already locked in, it seems, but teams do like to debate us when they are in spawn. So I'm going to wait till they're out the gates. But it wouldn't surprise me if City User wasn't that Pharah. No Mercy though. No Mercy. So if City User takes a bit of poke damage, or if Karash is up in City User's face a lot, it's going to be hard for City User to get that value.
One thing I've also been told is that Tiger is a fantastic shot caller for this team, and he's a very integral part of their strategy. So I'll be looking to see how they work around him. And it does seem like they are running this far without the Mercy, just jockeying for position, but they are going to meet. Oh!
City User getting the first pick there onto Leah, giving Diamonds SR Forever a really strong advantage in this fight. But Shinko goes down as well, so things are pretty even on the point. And this Pharah here, City User just uncontested, pumping that damage in. Needs to get a few more kills though, because the rest of Diamond SR are falling around him. But he does manage to get the barrage already, but taken out in the air by Kony there. And the point will flip initially, at least, to TAPAZ. But the fight is still ongoing. Diamond SR Forever coming back to point here. Maybe want to back off and regroup, especially now that Tiger has gone down.
What we witnessed there was the importance of a main tank in a fight. Yes, the side of Diamond SR Forever got the first pick onto the Lucio of the opposite team here, but we did see the rest of the team surround Shinko on that Reinhardt, and he got chunked down immediately. And after that, there's nothing to withstand the pressure of this composition, especially when goats, which we talk about it being such a great space creation tool, and what we see here.
We do indeed. There's been some compositional switches up for Diamond SR Forever, so they will be going on to the traditional Zengo. Coming out, a lot of people caught in that grab motion with the 3K there, just swinging away with that flail. Diamond SR Forever, fantastic grab there from Tomsky.
Fantastic grab, and that's it. They're in and out with that graviton. Nothing else really needed. I believe they did actually invest the Transcendence as well, but at the end of the day, you're going to have a sound barrier coming online as well, and that's just going to be great because look at the other side. They still don't have that Graviton Surge online, so you have a bit of extra time if you're Zeke here. This shot calling is really working for Tiger right now, but they are going to try and take maybe the coastal route here.
We see the Shatter coming out from Ascension. Counter Shatter though coming out from Shinko. There's a follow-up as well. Ascension is down. Graviton though coming out from the side of TAPAZ. Trying to go for that bigger bang combo. Doesn't manage to get anyone at all. In the meantime, members of TAPAZ are falling one by one, and they're going to have to back off and reset.
And that right there is why you likely shouldn't try to do the bigger bang combo in this meta without your Reinhardt alive. You know, you need something to get that shield down. We did see the positioning come in from Viacone on that Brigitte to try and get the stun in, but it just didn't work. You need that pin. And it just wasn't there. The shield was there, and no one got caught by such a, you know, big investment of ultimates if you're on the side of TAPAZ.
TAPAZ now coming back to the fight. We see some rallies coming out as well, but the Graviton coming out from Tomsky. Will it be enough? I do not think so, because Shinko and Motion are already down in this fight. TAPAZ can smell blood. They're coming onto the point now. They're looking to wrap this up, get this point flipped, start getting that percentage ticking in their favor, and that is exactly what's going to be happening once they deal with this rogue diva on point.
They're going to clean her up quickly, and that's going to be the point flipping back over to TAPAZ here. If you are Tomsky, you're going to want that Grav back. You know, that's such a long ultimate to charge, and an important one in this composition as well, and he just wasted it right there. And that could cost Diamond SR forever if this continues throughout the series. But right now the Ryan's just swinging back and forth. The bubble is coming out, so maybe the side of TAPAZ could actually get aggressive and punish that.
That's what they're looking to do here, going straight through that door, pushing forward, getting the first big automation there as well. They're getting super aggressive. They smell blood. They want to get those staggers. They want to keep buying time for that percentage to tick up in their favor, which is pretty even at the moment. Tomsky decides to jump off the edge and try and reset.
What we're seeing here is a more practiced ghost count coming out from TAPAZ here. You know, you look at the side of Diamond SR Forever, they are scrimming the higher teams, they are playing the more unique strategies, but they're mistiming their bubbles in playing ghost comp, and you usually want a bubble later to give your own swing advantage. They keep mistiming it, and
Shouts up from Intentions there. TAPAZ pushing forward as well. We see the self-destruct now coming out from City Users. Doesn't manage to get too much value with that. At this point, Diamond SR Forever just trying to get onto this point to keep their dream alive. It is in overtime. They can stall it out a little bit, but they're coming in one by one, and should only be a matter of time before TAPAZ will wrap this up.
Into the iris.
And just like I said, it punished them again. Right as I said it, it happened. They mistimed their bubbles. The reason you usually want to be bubbling later in Ghost Comp is because in that time that the bubble is up, your Ryan can get healed. He won't take damage, and Discord is off him. If you have that later and you have more time to swing without Discord, you're going to have that damage advantage. And now, despite being unbeaten on Control Center, we've not been sent there yet, so they're going to have to win this and maybe send it to their favored point. But again, their Ghost Comp is seeming very unpracticed. They seem to be relying on City Users Farah, and I wonder if that is actually going to be enough. Zeke finally going over that Mercy.
For this map, Farah, very, very good pick. Can use that central pillar to stay out of the sight lines of potential enemy Widowmakers, etc. Or McCree's, as Juicer Maker is coming out on. But Viacone going to be on Farah for TAPAZ here as well, so we might see some air duels at this point in time. Both Farahs just happy to throw some rockets in, try and build up some of their ultimates, try and get a few cheeky early picks here. Point unlocking in 8 seconds. Both teams just dueling it out a little bit, but Shinko does go down to the rocket of Viacone. There's Juicer Maker getting the D-Mech off the top sky as well, and this is going to snowball pretty damn quickly on the side of TAPAZ. City User managing to take out his opposite number there, but a little bit too little too late. We will be going to a pause, and that gives us a little bit of time to just discuss what happened in that first fight.
One thing I'm really curious about is what they are trying to achieve with Motion on this Tracer. You know, looking at the compositions here, there's not really a target for Motion to really get on. You have Juicer Maker on the McCree, but even then he can stun him out, he can get pocketed, he can get speed boosted away, or even Matrix, and there's not really much that Motion can do about that. Whereas on the side, we have Juicer Maker, which directly counters City User on the far, which is a great pick. And also, even in this situation, I think this point is more so going to come down to the duel between Tomsky and Karosh on those divas, rather than the Faras that reign the sky. It's more so who can protect their team from that incoming poke dummy.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think the Tracer was perhaps a prediction that TAPAZ might have been running a Zenyatta or a less mobile support hero that Motion would be able to take advantage of. I suspect we might be seeing some compositional switch up soon. I know we were talking about the goats of Diamond SR Forever, But I think if they just switch the Ghost Edge, try to get on point, try to shield themselves from a little bit of that damage from Viacone there as well, they can just kind of pounce on Juicemaker, make sure he's dead, battle it out with the tank line up there, because if you look at the composition of Topaz, they've only got 2 tanks, right? If you're running goats and you get in their face, you can do a lot of damage and just try and take point control here. But point's still not in Topaz's control, although I suspect it will be in a few seconds after we get going. So running into a Pharah on defense is pretty difficult, because the Pharah can just set up in those awkward positions that make it super hard for you to get angles to take the Pharah out the sky, and they can just rain rockets in. So I suspect that's what Viacone is going to be doing when he finally gets back to the point.
The DSRF, of course, is like is 1 HP right now. You know, he's still alive. He needs to die sooner. He's going to stagger himself out, and there he goes. That's going to give them a good 5, 10, 15% before he gets back. Tiger also got disconnected there. That's why we had the pause. So his sound barrier, crucially, is going to get reset, whereas Armbjorn on the other side is actually going to have 55% towards that. So the Ultimates are now definitely in the favor of TAPAZ, and they have the defensive Pharah as well. And already that comes to show taking out Tiger immediately, and that may end it right there, actually.
Zeke does go in for the resurrection. So Tiger is now back in action, but Zeke will not have that res for this upcoming fight, at least for the next 30 seconds or so. Viacone taken out the air by City User. City User, a very good Pharah on those during those one-on-ones. A lot of pressure being sent his way, though. Manages to pick off Juicemaker there as well. Shinko onto Lee as well. That was a very unexpected push there from Diamond SR Forever. They seem to be very good when the fight devolves.
That wasn't even a opportunity that presented itself. That was them bursting down the doors. Although they are still going to go for this contest. They've got Viacone back on the point with the barrage. I doubt he wants to use it though. I'm also just stalling out for time right now. But that was just them bashing down the doors, getting that early pick on the McCree and on the Lucio as well, and they kind of just left them helpless in the backline, you know. Juicemaker now getting pressured out, but still gonna have to just wait for them to reset right now and let these Pharahs really just poke from the distance like they're meant to do.
Now City User has the advantage being on the defense here, but we see a high noon coming up from Juicemaker. Will he get back? Doesn't look like it at the moment. We've got both Valkyries coming out from the respective mercies, healing their teams up. Trying to give them a little bit more sustain. Now we see some justice being rained from above, but no. City User taking Viacone out of the sky. And that was a pretty ballsy barrage there. Yeah, guy.
His goal was to take out Shinko there, and I don't think he knew Shinko actually had Primal Rage there, but he did, he popped it, and that kept him alive while City User hit the second rocket. The Deadeye from Juicemaker may have seemed like an interesting one, but it actually bought them a lot of space and forced City User back behind the pillar, which is why he almost cancelled it immediately. But right now, just jockeying around this corner again, making sure Tiger doesn't get one of those massive boosts.
Both Lucios now, using the sound barrier. That little bit of extra shielding, 2 engages, getting the headshot onto motion there. Great mechanical skill being shown. Viacone as well, killing Shinko. So it is now a 6v4. We see the self-destruct coming out on point, I suspect. Oh my gosh, no, City User goes for the barrage there, gets Juicemaker, but taken out by Viacone. We're just going to see the stall here from Diamond SR Forever, and the percentages are pretty even. So if they can stall this to 80-90%, they'll be doing really, really well.
That was, you know, the tipping point. They got motion out the sky. Motion is the way that City User is going to finish off his kills. City User putting the damage out from range, and then motion going in, putting the final blows in, but he died, and there was no way to finish off the damage that City User was putting down. He used the barrage, but immediately got defense matrix and headshotted by Viacone, who recently swapped over with Hanzo, and already has that Dragon Strike as well. So maybe looking to cut off the team while they go down to white, which they are. It's going to be disastrous if Viacone finds a good angle here.
Yeah, a lot of ults in the bank. Setting them out as well. Self-destruct there, picking off Shinko early on, making it a 6v5 in favor of TAPAZ. They have the numbers advantage. They're looking to utilize that now. They just need a little bit of target focus here. But Zeke comes in, flies in, gets the resurrection onto Shinko. Tomsky demeched here. Both teams just pumping the damage in on point. Both teams need to stay on point. We are in overtime. We see the high noon now coming out from Juicemaker, trying to get a cheeky pick. Batted away by the Primal Rage there of Shinko. It might be a little bit too late. Tiger does go down. Viacone's been rezzed as well. There's just too much red on the point here. Too much TAPAZ. People are getting back on TAPAZ, but the justice is ready for above. City User gets 2 picks there, but no! This is it. TAPAZ wins on Lijiang Tower. That record that Diamond Offer ever had has now been broken.
Yeah, we never even got to go to Control Center, and it doesn't matter if you're unbeaten on one of the points, if you can't play the other ones, you know, to that point of victory, it's useless. You do see what I mean here. They use the bubble very early, and as a result, they get punished for it. Not in this clip, but in general, in that Goats play. That's something they're going to have to fix throughout this series. One thing I will say, though, that Dragon Strike at the end was fantastic. It split Shinko and his off-tank heavily, and it resulted in Shinko dying very early. And yes, they got the res, but by that point, the team already had little to no space on the point at all.
And we will be going to our next map now. So 1-0 in favour of TAPAZ at the moment, and I'm surprised actually that we haven't even sung, you know, "Diamonds Are Forever" to any point in this broadcast so far. I've been looking at an opportunity to bring it up, there hasn't been, so I thought I'd just throw it out there. But we will be going to our next map very shortly. I think there's not too much of a skill differential between the individual players there. City user, especially outplaying his opposite number on that Pharah. It's just when you're using the Pharah and you're using a Mercy as well, that means you only got, you know, 4 other team members that are on the ground. And TAPAZ just seem to be winning out on that ground war extremely quickly for the reason that you were stating earlier, right? There's so a little bit of iffy bubble usage there, and maybe that's just due to some miscommunication. You don't want to put it entirely on a Zarya player because, you know, we can't hear the comms in the game, and sometimes people shout for bubbles and they don't really need them and things like that. But I think going forward, if they start to improve a little bit, we could see some different gameplay. But I think we're going to be going to Gibraltar anyway. So first point Gibraltar. Maybe we won't see Goats here, Yokai.
Yeah, Gibraltar first point is a notoriously popular dive map. You know, contesting that high ground is so important, particularly blue box, which is likely a position on the map that anyone who's been involved in any form of Overwatch over the last 2 or 3 years will know. That point right next to the end of point A, where you can look down on the corner and dive to any position on the map and contest any point on the map, have sight lines to anywhere on that first point, and that is what the first point comes down to: is who can control blue box the best. But if you know, we were looking at the diva play of Tom Sky, it was very good. We were looking at the diva play of Karosh as well. That was also very good. So this is now where we get to see the Winston play shine, and you know, who can really, which team has the best leadership and who is the most decisive on selecting and executing a dive.
Well, I'm going to be interested to see whether they do choose to defend blue box here. I suspect they will. Should they do so as well, the attacking team here, TAPAZ, are going to have to implement a strategy. They're going to have to take blue boxes before they get that cart past that corner. If they don't, as you say, they are liable to be dived at any time, and it's going to be really difficult for their supports to stay alive. But we'll see what heroes they lock in. Wouldn't surprise me if we saw something a little bit different here. And
maybe a little bit different, or maybe just some form of Genji Widowmaker dive was the former standard for this map. Now it did edge towards more of that floats composition where you replace the Reinhardt with the Winston. But, you know, these teams have been practicing for some time, and you know, at the higher level, we are more likely to see, you know, those meta compositions come out a lot more. Whereas here, you know, teams may want to try things, they may want to experiment things, and I'm hoping that they do, because, you know, these are the times where you want to experiment. These are the times where you maybe want to show what you can do, you know, to the people who are watching.
Oh, exactly. And they will be running this dive Widowmaker defense here with the Viacone on the Genji. And going forward for a little bit of early scouting, but I think the blue box you are referring to is the one slightly further back from the attacker spawn. The attackers here, do we have a mirror matchup? Not quite, not quite. Ziki choosing to opt for the Ana, Leah on the Mercy.
Although we do see the Mercy Ana, and they are just going to jockey for this high ground. This is what we always see. You don't usually see a hard engage here. It's not until, you know, the cart starts to push under that we start to see the real engages. And we'll probably see a pressure jump here as well. Oh!
What a shot there from Juice to make a headshot onto motion. When you're in these Widow duels, you want to win out on the first battle, right? Because a lot of it is psychological. These players' mechanical skill fairly even. And now the dive engage coming onto the high ground from TAPAZ. They're forced off it a bit, taking a little bit too much damage there. In the meantime, the cart is moving on a little bit, but if you're on defense, you don't really need to worry too much, because now you can drop down and dive. We see Intention then slept on the point, having a little bit of a snooze, and now Motion's come back, killing Juicemaker, getting a little bit of revenge there, and killing Leah as well. Headshot in the sky. That's exactly what you want from your Widowmaker, giving your team the numbers advantage. Another shot there from Motion. Motion has the motion.
Motion has got this payload in motion straight through point A. Picking up that 3K, that 2 very nice shots back to back on the Mercy and the Widowmaker. No chance for a res at all. And that's put him even in the Widowmaker duel, but that's so important to win the most recent one because it gives you that confidence. As you say, it's all psychological. And right now, as I say that caster's curse, he goes ahead. But you know, both teams are going to be jockeying for the top of this this shuttle right now. We mentioned blue box on first. This is it on second.
It is indeed, and Leah there on the Mercy, able to res Juicemaker to help out the team, but it doesn't really matter too much. It is to Shinko. And all the kill feed is in red here. They are getting a snowball on the go. If you're Diamond SR forever, you just want to regroup here and maybe try and contest at the last minute.
Yeah, I love this aggression coming out from the side of TAPAZ, taking their momentum from the first map. Sorry, Diamond SR Forever currently on the attack here, fighting against that momentum. They've already captured point. No, not quite.
And they're trying to get it there. There's just a few millimeters left to go here. We see the self-destruct coming out over top and catching on. Does that payload make it there? I think it may well just have. It has. The door is opening. This fight is, well, I can't say that it doesn't matter, but heavily in favor of the attackers.
And the attack is just snowballing this. They're taking their momentum and rolling with it. You know, using that aggression, once you start to get that advantage, you can really push as deep as they are right now. Push right up to the, you know, right up to almost the spawn doors there on that second point, just because they kept having the advantage, kept getting picks, and there was no reason to back off. They weren't forced back at all.
And they're still pushing this payload up. It is now nearly around that corner. This is where TAPAZ is choosing to just hold it here. They don't need to get too aggressive. They're waiting for some opportunities. Cities, are they looking for some opportunities as well? With that Genji, Blade doesn't get a chance though. Juicemaker taking out Motion. Incentian finishing off the Uzo is on low health anyway. And the defense should be able to stabilize quite easy.
Viacom swapped over this Doomfist now, and I actually really like this. I think that it provides a much you know, a much higher chance of, you know, knocking the enemy back, stopping that pressure. You know, it's a really great tool to stop the snowball if you can stun them up, push them back. However, on the other side, they're going to have that nano blade, and they're going to have the sound barrier to back it up as well. So we are going to see, and we're going to see what our Armbjorn can actually do with this Transcendence, and if he can shut down this this nano blade, which could really tear his team apart.
And defense here, holding the high ground. Crush doing a good job of just poking away there. We do see the Primal Rage now come out from Shinko, looking to maybe pin someone in the corner, get some kills, pin someone indoors. That looks exactly what he's done to that Zenyatta there. Motion winning out on the Widow duel as well. We're getting ults left, right, and center. Tomskoy getting the early pick onto Leah there as well. Both teams fighting it out. Can this blade get any value? It gets done. Viacom is down. Now the defense is just trying to get out to stall that point by as much time as possible. Not too many of them left there. And they need to keep touching. We see the Valkyrie coming up. Leah going for the res. Gets taken out by Zupo though. And now the defense is just stalling all the way here, guys.
They are just stalling us out, trying to get that time back as low as possible, but this is going to be a blitzing pace. They may even get the payload above 3 minutes right now, which, you know, usually we see overtime pushes here on Gibraltar, but they are getting back at a point right now.
They are indeed, and now we've got the Wrecking Ball as well, just swinging around the point, knocking people away. Does get a pick onto Zupo here. Shinko kills Leah, but I don't think it's going to be enough here. What an excellent comeback here from the defending side. We see the Primal Rage though coming out from Shinko, trying to knock the Doomfist off, but Viacom flying back and gets taken out by the Dash of City user though. This is an all-out brawl on the point. I couldn't call it here. The defenders have the spawn advantage. They are getting some kills, but City users even out. So is Zupo. I think they're going to be able to get this to the end, but Juicemaker just whipping around that point, trying to stay alive, gets the pulse bomb, and gets two! What an excellent pulse bomb there. I think that just saved that defense right there.
That is 3 times in one fight that a team pulled it back when they had no business doing so. first it was, first the defense pulled it back when it was very close to the end. Then City User pulls it back with 2 very quick dash throughs. And finally, Juicemaker popping over to that Tracer for a stall pick, building up the Pulse Bomb, and getting that 2k onto the main tank and onto City User, who had that Dragon Blade out. This is incredible.
Still 2 minutes left on the clock, and we do have a self-destruct coming out as well. Can that catch anyone? Yes, it can! Leo, Juicemaker, both down. Numbers advantage in favor of DSRF forever. They are pushing in, but self-destruct comes out as well. Rocky by 2 of his own there. This is even Stevens and Aaron's beyond there. Getting the boot on Shinko. The defense should be able to hold this.
Yeah, it's spawn advantage coming through. That was just each Diva one-upping each other, knocking back the Reinhardt to begin with. Then the 2k Diva Bomb came out, and then Karosh answered back and said, anything you can do, I can do better. What a fantastic play coming out of these Divas, as we mentioned, it could be pivotal for this match, and well, yeah, it's definitely showing right now here in the end of Gibraltar.
Yeah, and with the compositions as they are, okay, they're switching them up a little bit here. I think we're going to be seeing more of a go-to position in defense. It was difficult before for the Reinhardts to really shield their team from that, from those Diva bombs. But it doesn't matter right now because City are getting the first pick in this fight. You see Dome Desol forever pushing forward, swinging away. We see the Toronto coming out for attention. Killed though before he can finish it there. That could be vital. Dome Desol forever just needs a target focus. Karosh has now been team-mech by the damage coming in, and now we see the self-destruct onto the point. It finds Leah. This should be what Dome Desol need to push it to the end, and they do get it there. And very, very good defense there, I thought, from TAPAZ.
Fantastic defense. You know, winning fights they had no business winning. Although at the end they do still end up having 42 seconds in the time bank, so it's a respectable push nonetheless. But those closeout fights, those cleanup fights at the end of point C, that's where having a good shot caller comes into play. That's when having a strong Zenyatta player who knows where the Discord orb should go and who the team is going to target. And I think that may have been actually why TAPAZ was able to hold on for so long, you know, because we did see Tiger, who was the main target caller on the side of Diamond SR Forever, actually have to sub out due to connection issues on that one. So that may have cost them there at the end, but still, respectable time bank nonetheless, and definitely gives them a lot of momentum coming into their defense.
It does indeed, and I'm interested to see what their defense is going to be like. Looks like similar strategy to the defense of TAPAZ. They're going to be running that Widowmaker motion there, looking to get some motion in the ocean going, you know. Going to have the damage boost of Zeki as well to help out with that. And you look at the attack here, I think we're seeing a mirror matchup, Yokai.
Mirror matches are indeed very common on this map. You know, you're seeing the Mercy Pocket on the Widow, seeing the Zenyatas for those dives, seeing the Genji just for that high ground control, and the Widowmaker for the sightline control. And you have the perfect composition for a map like Gibraltar, and I'm just very excited to see more of this Juicemaker versus motion on this Widowmaker. You know, which Genji can put more pressure on the other Widowmaker, and which Widowmaker can really hold their nerve and, you know, win out these duels, which is so important in flipping a team fight, like we've seen so far.
I'm liking the positioning from the defense there, from Diamond SR, using that blue box to avoid the poke damage here. As you say, it's going to be interesting to see which Widow wins out in the duel. The defense here just happy to let that payload move on. They know they don't need to worry about it just yet. Looking for some opportunities to dive in, perhaps.
I don't actually like this in the defense because they've just allowed that entire front part of the map to be controlled by them for absolutely free. Although Shinko is going to... Oh,
that's what they were looking for. Like, usually when you're moving the car under that area there, you've only got one or two people dive in and take out Aaron's Beyond there, but Aaron's Beyond now rezzed by Leah, so numbers pretty even here. Blue box still controlled by Diamonds. They are pumping some poke damage in. Juicemaker, speaking of City User though, the defense now choosing to dive in. This is their moment here. They need to even out the score somewhat, get a few picks here themselves. In the meantime, the car is nearly at the end here. Viacone as well getting the D-Mech onto Tomsky. Juicemaker, speaking of Shinko as well, motion does manage to take out Juicemaker, but too little too late. Gets dived by almost the entirety of TAPAZ, and they should be able to take this.
Yes, just simple cleanup now, and they have the best cleanup character in this game on Genji, as Viacone just slashes through the entire new team, and they may well get a few stagger kills as well, as Ziki and Shinko both got the bad spawn. They are just going to make it out. That's very lucky, though. If they'd have maybe spawned a few seconds later, could have been disastrous, and maybe resulted in a similar snowball that we saw from DSRF.
No snowball as yet, though, in fact. Diamonds take the high ground here. We see the self-destruct come over the top, doesn't manage to catch anything as yet. Both teams just trying to control that high ground, win out on the fight, get a few picks here, but a lot of healing coming in from the Valkyrie of Ziki, keeping the defending team alive. We do see the Primal, though, coming out from Ascension. He's just trying to cause some chaos, maybe get a pick if he can get someone into a corner. We see the self-destruct going onto the point again, doesn't manage to find anything, but Zupo finds Ascension with the headshot there. Diamonds are hitting like into the corner there. Do not want to be that guilty. That looked painful. Garashi there, just backing off, trying to get back to spawn, try not to get staggered, and the defending team looking for some staggers, but don't want to get overly aggressive.
What we see there between Shinko and Insentient is quite simply what happens when you have a goal with your Primal Rage and what happens when you don't. Sentient used it as simply an escape tool and then stayed to try and get value, where Shinko had a goal. He wanted to create as much space as possible and plaster the side of TAPAZ along the wall. Well, I can say that at least Zupo definitely ended up there.
And Motion with the headshot onto Juicer Maker. Motion with the 2K as well. A lot of these fights are ending before they're even beginning because of the Widow Pixel. Yes, Leah does manage to get a res onto Juicer Maker, but actually they might have an opportunity here because whilst that duel's been happening, look at the ground war that's been going on. Aaron Bjorn just sending those orbs left, right, and center, hitting targets, but Motion also hitting targets. Finally taking out Juicer Maker, pumping out a lot of damage, but who's going to touch point here? It can't be Motion. Luckily, Shinko is back to do just that and help out his off-tank Tom Sky. Tom Sky getting the pixel extension means that the defense are going to be able to stabilize it.
Defense able to stabilize, but that was very, very scary at the end there. You know, both tank duos alive, but one team had their main support, one team didn't. However, they stalled it out long enough for the side of Ziki to get back with that Valkyrie, and they ended up winning out just by sheer chunking down the front line of TAPAZ. And now they're in a great position with this infrasight coming out. They know exactly where the entirety of TAPAZ are.
And TAPAZ pay the price as well. Motion, another clean headshot onto Juicer Maker. I wouldn't want to be taking that fight 6v5 with the enemy Widowmaker having reign there, but Shinko does go down, so that might change the attacking team's mind a bit, especially now they've got the res onto Aaron Bjorn as well. They're going to choose to dive up onto this high ground, try and contest it, put some pressure on Motion. Tom Sky doing a good job with the defense matrix to keep Motion alive. Motion happy to sit there, pump the damage in. We see the self-destruct now coming over the top. Doesn't catch much. Aaron Bjorn though catches Ziki. That could be huge. No mercy on the side of Diamonds for the remainder of this fight. Motion though, looking for some good angles, looking to get some more headshots. And we do have the Genji as well of City use up with that blade looking... Well, not even looking to use it anymore, because look at that kill feed. It is all red.
One pick I really like here from Juicer Maker, though, is that Sombra. Such great control in the backlines, and right now, the reason the DSRF are actually winning out these fights is because City User is putting so much pressure on the backline, and Aaron Bjorn is getting caught out nearly every fight. That's why we saw the retreat from the side of TAPAZ. But Juicer Maker is trying to replicate that on the side of Zupo here. Maybe force out a Transcendence here if they really get a lot of value out of it.
Courage forces Motion off the high ground there. Motion with not as many angles as before, and now we see the blade coming out from Viacone. Takes out Zupo. Motion in the meantime though, takes out Viacone with a headshot. City user with a blade of his own, but not really need that. Motion's been impressing me so much with the mechanical skill, hitting the headshots when he needs to.
That was fantastic coordination coming out between Juicer Maker and Viacone, though. Juicer Maker got the hack onto Zupo, which meant he couldn't use that Transcendence on the blade, and that could have been disastrous had they not have, turned it around with their own blade. And
30 seconds.
Now, though, it's kind of a blessing in disguise. Zupo still has a Transcendence because of the hack, and he can use it in this coming fight and withstand and clean up in a very safe manner now.
Still on the high ground. They're going to need to contest that cart at some point. Tomsky does just that. We see the early Transcendence coming out from Zupo. Self-destruct coming over the top. Finds Ziki there. Kill feed is turning blue. This is the opportunity that TAPAZ needed. They finished off Shinko there with the sheer amount of damage. We are in overtime, but they're just going to get 2/3.
And without even noticing, it looks like TAPAZ have actually transitioned over to protect the McCree comp, and Zeki's going to get staggered out. It also looks like Motion is as well. He's sneaking. Is he going to get out? Oh, he has an angle. He has an angle on the backline now.
He's looking for that. He's just waiting, like a real Widowmaker, like a real spider there, just waiting in his web to catch out the supports.
In the meantime, what is this coming out on the side? Oh, it looks like they're gonna make a swap to goats. Motion looking for a pick here, possibly on a Viacone or onto Leah.
They don't know Motion's there.
They're
Look,
so patient.
now the damage is coming in. They don't know where it's coming from at the moment. There we go. Ascension turns around with the shield as well. They're all heading back to try and put some pressure on Motion. They know what damage you can do left uncontested. And he's taken out by Aaron there. And now TAPAZ can advance. They are looking to get some more kills in. And they've got the numbers advantage. Pushing forward with the Zarya, with the Reinhardt. Forcing Diamond back into spawn here. Diamond doing a good job of just regrouping. They want to come out as a 6, but they can't allow themselves to be trapped in this little corridor here. We see Rally coming out from the side of the blue team here. Now the Transcenders as well coming out from Aaron Bjorn. All that extra sustain just means they're going to be able to just swing away, pump the damage in, and this is going to be really, really hard for Diamond to defend against. They do fall one by one, and wow, we got a series on our hands.
That was disastrous. Motion needed to either try and get a pick quickly or die. And in the end, he got neither. He tried to take out Leah, but only hit a body shot. And then TAPAZ punished it, and because of the fact that Motion is their Zarya player, their Reinhardt was left without that Zarya bubble. So then, that just allowed the side of TAPAZ to just, press their advantages. That Reinhardt could swing freely with the Zarya bubble, and there was nearly no damage on the side of Diamond SR Forever because of Motion not being there due to that late stagger.
Diamond, though, going into this next matchup with an extra 34 seconds on the clock. Not a great deal of time more than TAPAZ, but could prove useful. We'll see what TAPAZ want to do on the attack first. Juicemaker already on that McCree, but let's have a look at the defending compositions first before I get debated here. They are going
floats.
Mixing it up a bit.
I like this. It provides a lot of sustain if the team can somewhat stay grouped up, but also allows the dive tank duo of Shinko and Tomsky to actually control the high ground, as we mentioned, is very important on this map. So floats is a good pick, I would say, here, especially considering that on the opposing... Actually, I've just seen they're running Protect the McCree. They're running the dive tank Protect the McCree comp, which is actually, I would say, a little bit stronger with that double stun lock onto the Winston.
We'll see how Shinko decides to operate that Winston. Still on the high ground, using the bubble effectively to mitigate some damage, heal back up a bit. And if you look at the clock as well, not much time left on, so both teams want these heavy compositions so they can stay on the point when it gets to overtime, because believe me, that'll be happening in 35 seconds. And the defending team here, pushing down again. Could use the bubbles here just to gain some charge. Motion trying to get to that Graviton as well, because you don't even need to kill the enemy with grabs, right? You can just grab them off the point sometimes.
I actually love that. Insentient and Juicemaker both them back to spawn to make a swap to standard goats right now. They just need to stay on this point and brawl it out, whereas the side on the floats, that's not as good at brawling, more so as engaged fights. Oh, that's...
We see the dive come in, Shinko gets punished hard for that, and Motion ends up killing himself there. Kill feed is all blue, this payload should get...
I felt a bit rushed because of how quickly that fight started there, but what I was going to say was standard Ghost Comp is much better at brawling when you have to, you have to fight it out on a certain position. It's great at holding the space it takes. Floats is much more suited to, taking further space and engaging on fights where you maybe have to cover a long distance rather than brawling it out. That Reinhardt hammer is a very good brawling tool, and buying with the Brigitte and the Zarya bubble, yeah, there was no way that the TAPAZ were going to let Diamond SR win that fight.
Shinko now on the Reinhardt. I just heard what you said there. Both teams now crawling it out. We are still in overtime, so both teams looking to win out on this. There's picks on both sides. Massive brawl on the point. We see the self-destruct now, though, coming out from Karosh. Doesn't manage to catch anything thanks to the shield of Shinko. We see a grab in response, but it's grabbing the attacking team there onto the payload. Now getting Shatter coming down from Shinko. That is what they needed, but not too much follow-up. Leah has gone down, though, and they're not on the point. They get forced off the point there in the last second, and that is how far the Carp will get. Now, if you are Diamond SR forever here, you've got to be pretty happy with that, but also pretty nervous. 1 minute 34 on the clock. You can't really afford to get stopped on first.
You can't afford it unless you really want to take some overtime fights. You mentioned they traded there, and yes, they both did lose a member. However, look at what the trades were. It was, I believe it was City User on the side of Diamond SR Forever, but it was the main tank. It was Insentient, the Reinhardt, the core piece of Goats comp on the side of Tapaz. So that's a trade that you'll take any day of the week if you are Diamond SR Forever, and it really paid off. And due to still having that damage in the Reinhardt hammer, you know, they were able to clean up very efficiently. And like I say, having that Zenyatta that knows where the Discord up, Zeki, of course, a very well-versed Zenyatta player, you know, has a very strong hand in where the Discords go. And that target selection is often what can win or lose a map.
And both teams here are choosing to start off with traditional-ish Zen goats. Obviously, traditional goats to the Moira, but we're going to be seeing the Zens. And we're going to be seeing a mirror match up here. I think both teams have recognised that they just need that point present. So all in Diamond SR's hands here. If they win the first fight, they can get this payload moving.
2, 1.
Absolutely, and looking at these comps, it does seem like they are, like you say, going for the mirror matchup here, running the Zenyatta Goats variation, that 3-3. Shinko getting the early bubble again there. I wonder if they're going to punish this. It looks like they're going to push for it.
I do like this early defense from TAPAZ here. They just want to stall for as long as possible. They know how much is left on the clock, but Viacode going down there gives the advantage to the attackers. They have the numbers advantage. Shinko pushing forward, just swinging away. Does have a Discord on himself, so has to be a little bit careful, but there we go. The bubble comes in and cleanses that. Intention goes down as well, and Diamond have won this first fight. They have this cart moving.
What we seem to be seeing from these teams, and this is something that even at high-level play we see a lot of, is on the side of Diamond SR Forever, they seem to be playing more of what we see in European contenders, where they bubble early for that energy, and then later on they have that bubble advantage, whereas they're running the Korean side where they just bubble and punish, and he takes nothing out of that! Oh!
Something though, Shinko wing out on the Shatter battle, pushing forward, no real follow-up though, just a little bit too much sustain coming out from the defense. We do see the Graviton Surge coming out with the self-destruct as well. Does it find anyone? Yes it does, it finds Tom Sky. There's a self-destruct in return that finds User Maker though. So there are picks on both sides. Killfeed though, looking red. They're happy to just get some kills here, maybe get some staggers as well. They want to get this payload to burst, and they need to move it halfway through second as well.
Some of the teams are going to get staggered, but some of them may not get the good spawn at all. This is very... It depends on the spawns, and some players got spawned all the way back. They may not even be able to contest this.
They're going to have to come in at some point. They're going to make the decision, though, just to back up, try and regroup as much as possible before they do, to give themselves the greatest advantage that they can have. But look at the ults that the teams have in the back here. We've got Diamond here. They're going to have the Shatter. They're going to have the Sound Barrier as well. But Juicer Maker coming up with maybe a juicy Graviton. Going to have to use it well. We see the Shatter coming down from there's Sound Barrier as well coming down. Shatter there. From Intention, that may have just taken the fight there. That was fantastic. We see the Transcendence now coming out. However, Graviton coming out on the point as well. I think the defense may have just wrapped this one up.
Wow, what a Shatter. I don't even know what else to say about that. That is quite literally what we would call a fatty shatty. That came from seemingly nowhere.
This is going to be it, right? Play the game.
This is going to be it. There's no way it's not. It comes out of...
No, it's not. Let's have a look at this one.
This is just what you want from your Reinhardt player, though. Getting all those swings, all that damage. Look how fast the ultimate charge goes up. And we saw it. It came out of seemingly nowhere. The side of Shinko couldn't even predict that the Shadow was coming. Couldn't even react to it. He didn't think that Shadow could possibly be online yet. And yet there was Insentient with that Shadow to save TAPAZ and put them up 2-0 in this series. Match point if you are the side of TAPAZ. But on the side of Diamond SR Forever, you really need to start digging deep into your strat pools and, you know, You now have nothing else to lose. You need to put everything on the line. Dig deep. There's no more saving strategies here.
I love the patience there from TAPAZ, though. Backing off, disengaging, waiting until their team was together, and then going back in. And essentially managing to charge up that shatter so quickly as well. And yeah, as you say, I don't think that Shinko expected that shadow coming out. I don't think he thought that Ascension had it online. But then, boom, it comes down. They get the kills they needed, and wow, Zeki obviously came out with the Transcendence there, but team was already pretty much dead. A little bit too little, too late. But we're going to be going to Horizon, which we spoke about earlier. So this is it, as you say. Diamonds need to do something on this map.
And if we do look at the side of Diamond SRF, they have City User, who's a very flexible, very versatile forest specialist. So we could well see him pull out the fire on this map. It's not that bad. We saw Libero actually play that this week, or over the last week, in the Overwatch League as well. So it is a very viable strategy, and we have seen triple DPS a few times. Shinko showing his hand at the Hammond a little bit on the stalling points and such. But what we saw towards the end was just how fast Reinhardt's can build the shadows. Incendient actually started that fight on about 50 or 60% ultimate charge, but because everyone's grouped up and you're hitting everyone with the fire strikes and the swings, that is why it was so unpredictable for the side of Shinko. But that was last map. And now we're looking at Horizon and looking at the composition so far. On the defense, it looks like we may be seeing the Orisa bunker comp coming out from the side of TAPAZ here.
Attackers incoming.
Indeed, we've got Vicone on that Junkrat and Juicer Maker on the Ash. I'm looking forward to that. Pretty well on that with earlier. It'll be interesting to see the implementation of the Dynamite Sticks and also the implementation of Bob as well, who we haven't seen yet in this series.
Ash requests Bob to do something, and a lot of the time he does. He launches an enemy into the air and then proceeds to have a Soldier 76 tactical visor style damage output alongside the dynamite, which is fantastic against these grouped up targets. And look what's coming out on the other side, the floats composition, where you stay grouped up, and this could really allow for Juicer Maker and Viacone to build our ultimates very quickly. And it also provides some problems to contest this Orisa D.Va high ground defense.
It's not like they even want to contest, they're going to rotate straight here, which means the defense here are going to have to rotate as well. TAPAZ is going to have to get someone down onto the point. He goes down to Viacone early on. Not losing his end early in the fight. Happy to stay on point. They do have a tick though, so that's good for them. They just want to stay here, try and get maybe 1 or 2 kills. Do manage to finish off Incentiant there, so there are kills on both sides. This fight could go either way. And City User and Tom Sky, they're getting picks of their own.
City User!
Oh my god! City User didn't tell me he was that good of a Brig there. Like, I know people take the piss sometimes about Brig Eater, but that was some great Brig play.
That was fantastic. He killed 3 and also managed to keep his team so sustained throughout the fight. Very, very good play coming out from this composition. Played out perfectly, and now they're straight on point already. Not allowing any positioning coming out from the defense here.
Yeah, they're looking to get the snowball here. They just need one pick, and they put a lot of pressure with Ascension there, who does go down early, but Viacone's there on a Brigitte of his own to try and even things out. Defenders here with the spawn advantage as well. We do see the Graviton coming out. That was a pretty ballsy one there, but does manage to get 2 of the kills here. I think Diamonds smell blood. They smell the victory here. They want to get as much time as possible on the clock. They want to get this snowball. They're flying in. Do they have enough members on the point to actually make that happen, though? They're going to need to get a few more picks, and that's going to be tough because of the Transcendence of Aaron Bjorn. Giving that extra little bit of healing. Has ended now, though. We see the Primal coming out as well. This fight is going on and on and on. And Diamonds need to get some kills for the Shatter now. Coming down to attention. This guy's just been getting huge shadows all match long, and I think Diamonds are going to need to back off the ring as well.
If you are Diamonds, you're incredibly happy with that fight, though. You drew out so many key ultimates there. You drew out the Transcendence, you drew out the Rally, you drew out the Shatter, you drew out the Sound Barrier, and now you have it. You have that D.Va Bomb, you have the Transcendence, you have almost all 3 support ultimates as well. You're in a great position to maybe turn this back around, and if you can get motion to that Graviton fairly quickly, you'll have yourself a free Graviton and a free ultimate combo with the bigger back.
Gonna have to work around Juicer Maker's grab here. We're looking to make great use of that, trying not to let it get eaten. Does not get it eaten, does manage to catch Tomsky, but not much else. We see the self-destruct coming out, doesn't manage to catch anything at all. Counter self-destruct though, also ineffective. We're having a little bit of a fight here near the point. Ascension does go down. Now we see the Transcendence coming out from Arenbjorn. Just keeping the remaining members of his team alive until the rest can get back onto the point, but it might not matter. Shinko's just swinging away, no real pressure on him. And now we see the Transcendence coming out from Ziki as well, keeping her team alive here. And they're getting the picks one by one by one. We see the coming out from Shinko onto Ascension. I think he's been fed up with Ascension shatters all game long. He said, I'm going to say this shatter, you should come back to point. And look at this, they got one tick, they got two. We see the self-destruct coming out near the spawn, and they're going to be able to get third here shortly. Yes, they do. And great patience there from Diamond after that first fight, and fantastic second fight there on second point.
It was very interesting fight towards the end there. We saw the Graviton Surge come out and actually didn't originally catch anyone. Kurosh fell into it and then got forced to use his bomb, but that actually dropped nearly half of the TAPAZ members who were still alive to about half health, which allowed for the for Diamond SR Forever to just come in and clean up. And then they had positioning on point. They had the Transcendence. They had all 6 healthy members, and they had point B with 4 minutes and 30 seconds left to go. And again, that just comes down to on top of the ultimate advantage they gave the opponents, they also ended up, on the side of TAPAZ, you ended up splitting to nearly 3 different sections of the point, and that's not what you want when you're playing such, a clustered death ball composition like Ghost.
Ready for battle.
Not what you want at all. And they're going to get an opportunity to attack now as well, but the pressure is on because not only do they need to take both points, they need to take it with a decent amount of time in the bank, or it's going to be very difficult for them to win out on this. And we've got Diamond choosing to come out with floats again. They seem to be happy on this composition. Shinko doing a very good job on that Winston as well. They're going to be versus the Rhine Goats here, though, with Ascension on that Reinhardt we've been seeing for the past 2 maps.
I will say, though, if this is how Incentium wants to run it with the Reinhardt over the Winston, they are actually in a great position if they can get to the point safely. Because like we mentioned on the previous map, Winston is great for taking these long-range engages, but not as great for brawling. And it does look like he's up for the Reinhardt, so if they can take the rotation to point, they will actually be in a great position to take this early and maybe even get a better time bank than Diamond SR Forever did.
Let's see how they do it, because they are running Arenbjorn on that Zen. If Shinko can put maybe a little bit of pressure into what is almost the backline, but obviously Arenbjorn in the middle of his team there is a very difficult backline to dive. They might be able to do some damage, and they manage to oh my god, that's exactly what they do. Separating Arenbjorn from his team there, getting a few kills as well, building up their ultimate charge, and oh gosh, if you are Arenbjorn there, that is a scary sight.
That was very well executed. I mentioned if they get to the point safely. One thing they never did was, set foot on point as a team of 6, and Arenbjorn immediately going to make the swap over to Lucio in exchange for Leah going to play that Moira now. So they're looking for a little bit more survivability, a little bit more sustain. Wanting to maybe draw out these fights a bit longer rather than, relying on the Discord Orb to really seal these fights quickly.
And at least that Moira has a little bit of an escape mechanism with that fade to get away from the dive of Shinko and Tomsky. And both teams now just rolling it out a little bit. I like the attack here from Sofos to managing to stay together as a team. TAPAZ now on point, getting the punch onto the baby Diva. So they do have the numbers advantage. They're looking to further that numbers advantage as well. That's exactly what they are doing here. We see the sound barrier coming out from Zupo, just trying to buy a little bit of team here, but the Graviton coming out as well. Motion gets the kill. Maybe they think they can defend it here, but they just don't have the numbers. The Ascension's just swinging away, pumping in that damage, and City user will fall in the end.
They are 2 ultimates you're going to want back if you're on the side of Diamond SR Forever. That Graviton got a bit of value, but there was no way they were winning that fight after their main tank and a few other members dropped as well, and that sound barrier seemed to just be out of desperation to stall the point for another 5 or 6 seconds. And now, look at the ultimates on the side of TAPAZ. They've used their sound barrier, their only real key against the Grav Bomb combo, the bigger bang that we're probably going to see in a moment, and they only have a Transcendence to leave it.
And the bigger bang is indeed coming out. Doesn't manage to catch anything as yet, though. Instead, we get a counter self-destruct, which also doesn't catch anything. Both teams brawling it out, but the kill feed is turning red. Oh no, we see the shatter coming out from Ascension, but doesn't quite hit the ground with that one. And Diamond's able to stabilize.
That's a great fight to win if you are in Diamonds as well, because they now they just burned all 3 tank ultimates and a support ultimate on top of that, so that's 4 ultimates that are just immediately burned. This is an interesting pick. Zeke going to go to the Honor now, so maybe you want to take advantage of the high ground. I will be interested to see how he plays this around the Diva of Kurosh, though, who can just eat those Biotic grenades and prevent any real value. So, looking to counter the sustain with an anti-healing grenade, which may prompt a swap back over to Zengos if you're on the side of TAPAZ.
See what they do. Coming down onto the point. We see the shatter coming out as well from Shinko. Doesn't manage to catch too much, but this grab catches 3. Sound barrier in return from Aaron Bjorn, just giving his team that a little bit of extra shielding throughout that graviton. And now Shinko goes down, and we get the team X onto Tomsky as well. So the defense losing people 1 by 1. Juicer Maker really high charge at the moment, managing to get a few kills there, but sound barrier coming out from Zupo. Graviton afterwards, but quite early afterwards, so there's still some of that shielding left. Motion will go down, but she goes back in the fight now, manages to finish on Firecone. We do have the coalescence there coming from Leo, who's been relatively uncontested this entire fight long, and now Shinko. That should be able to give the defense what they need to stabilize, finish up, and send TAPAZ back to the rush.
In general, I'm not a fan of running Honor Goats into another type of Goats due to that Diva, but right here, when Leah is running that Moira, that's actually a fantastic pick to have, you know. Leah is obviously on that, and she was on that Moira, should I say, not anymore, swapping back over to Lucio or Bjorn, going to the Zenyatta. But, like I said, what Moira provides a lot of sustain, what counters sustain, not being able to heal. And that was what it provided. Now they have a nano boost, possibly going under Shinko for this early fight and early endgame. Bubbles down.
Oh! 3-man shatter though. The rest of it pushing, and we see the self-destruct now coming out from Tomsky, trying to just stabilize a little bit here. Now we see the graviton in place. Used it there. Not sure how that happened. I think the shield was just out the way. And now we've got TAPAZ coming onto the point here. They are looking to try and win this with as much time left as possible in the bank. In the meantime, we see the Wrecking Ball come out from the defense here. Diamonds, so just trying to get a point, stall it out a bit. They've lost 1 tick so far. They should be able to get 1 or 2 members back. We see the Tracer now coming out promotion as well. City user goes down. They just need to buy some time. The more time they can buy, the easier it is going to be for them in the overtime round. So they're coming back with relative numbers here. Shingo just trying to stay alive. They're getting back onto point, and this is a pretty good stall. We see the May coming out as well. We see the Lucio. This is a very good stall. We see the sound barrier as well. They are buying so much time with the stall out, but they couldn't possibly win it, could they?
They are getting picked, so they are currently fighting this 5 right now. But they are still. It does seem like they are still going to take this, and yeah, they had about 2 minutes in the time back, I think. But considering they started winning that fight at about 3 minutes, that's a very good stall, and it was a very healthy stall as well. They were getting a few picks. They were getting multiple members on the point at the same time, and overall, that was a good fight to win. Though, if you are TAPAZ, you know you were fighting into an ultimate or 2, but that shatter came out very quickly. You know, you heard my call. I said both bubbles down. That's what the second that the fight starts to turn into more of a brawl than a game of chess, shall we say, 4-dimensional chess. I like to describe the positioning of goals.
And speaking of 4-dimensional chess, 4th dimension, perhaps being time, we have 2 minutes 18 on the clock for TAPAZ here, and they're gonna have to win the first. They've probably got like 2 decent fights here right on first. Whereas if you look at the time bank of Diamonds, they got 4 minutes 30. That's a lot healthier time bank to have for this sort of map.
That's double the size time bank, almost exactly. So looking at the side of TAPAZ here, they are actually running up Moira Goats again, so they're looking to keep the sustain. However, look at motion. This is what we were mentioning about Goats variations, staying that Sombra rather than the Diva in this composition. So you do lack that defense matrix to eat those biotic orbs that Moira puts out. However, you do have that chance to hack the Reinhardt, to hack the Zarya, and disable that bubble, and really prevent a lot of the cooldowns that make Goats so effective, such as Shield Bash or those bubbles that I've just mentioned.
Motion here. Looking for those opportunities, getting behind TAPAZ to get that hack on at the vital moment. And I think this might just be it. When they're on point, goes to the Reinhardt. No! Takes him damage, though, doesn't manage to get the hack off. Now, the defending team bouncing onto point, looking to try and get some picks. Instead, though, Shinko goes down, the kill feed is looking blue. This is exactly what TAPAZ needed. They needed to win the first fight, and now they're going to be able to go on and try and take second with probably a minute 30 in the back.
It'll go up to 2 minutes as you get that extra 30 seconds after you capture, but the crucial thing there was Motion didn't get a hack. If you're running that Sombra, you have to be getting the hacks because you do lack that extra tank, you lack the Diva, you lack the health pool, so you can't go for an all-out brawl, and instead you have to rely on utility. He did not get that hack. They were fighting into such a high sustain composition as well, and now they're going to swap over to the Zen Ghost to hopefully burn through that sustain faster with that Discord orb, but Motion really causing a few problems for the team.
Extension nearly with that shatter. Just need a few more swings, and then he's going to be looking to put the hammer to the ground. Doesn't get the opportunity though because City User takes him out. It's here in favour of the defense. If you are TAPAZ here, you just want to either get out of there or die quickly. You've still got a minute 20 left in the clock.
If you're TAPAZ, I would recommend actually just taking a few dry pushers, try and get some ultimates out of the side of Diamonds here. You know, they have the support elements coming online, but look at the other side. They have the Coalescence, they're coming up on the Graviton, coming up on the Sound Barrier, and they have the Bomb and the Earth Shadow along with that rally to keep them up in fights as well. So they are fighting into an Earth Shadow and a Graviton, but if they maybe, you know, take out these ultimates early and survive through it, they could really put themselves in a great position to capture this for a second time.
See what they do. And, in the meantime, they're happy just to get onto point, look for those opportunities to perhaps use the ultimates they have there. We see the coming out. We see the shatter. Shinko putting two people on their back. There was all the healing from the Coalescence to try and keep a few of the attacking team alive there. And now we're seeing the Graviton Surge coming out. However, there's Transcendence. That cannot heal you through a self-destruct. No, the self-destruct point, nothing. Instead, there's a counter-Graviton coming out from Tonsky. And you don't really need a self-destruct when you can just plow the damage in and swing into it like that. But now we're going to Ascension. Is there enough for the attacking team on point to make that work? Shinko does go down, but the defenders with the small advantage here. And Ascension with a Discord on just gets taken out. There's 6 seconds left. A few people touching the point here from TAPAZ. The self-destruct there just to try and keep back in mech from Garrosh there. Getting a pick onto Tonsky. It's not over yet. We do see the self-destruct being sent into the air by City User. Doesn't find much. Zoning a little bit. Now we see the shatter. Oh, the shatters have been so fun all match long. And now Shinko's just happy to swing away. And it looks like they're going to be able to stabilize. So 4 minutes 30 in the bank for Diamonds. They've got to take first point and then take 1 tick on second.
If you're TAPAZ though, you've got to be a little bit frustrated that you don't finish that map. You're in the driver's seat, you had the ultimate advantage, you needed to simply just reset and back off. But instead, they decided to invest without their main tank there, and in a fight where they had the time to reset, the time to group up, they've now put themselves in a position where if they want to take a point and take this series right here, they're going to have to hold Horizon for 4 minutes and 30 seconds.
That is quite a lot of time here. We'll see how they get on with it, because they managed to take first point, first push. That's going to give them perhaps a bit of an old advantage going into second, and they can win out with the snowball. If you get stopped first push, and the defenders manage to just have a little bit of an ult economy on their side, they might be able to survive the next 2, maybe 3 pushes from yourself. And even with 4 minutes 30 on the clock, that's going to give you a lot less time to take that first tick on second.
You mentioned first point though. Looking at the compositions for first point, we do see the Moira goats again on defense. I don't want to talk about that composition too much on offense yet. Yep, they go back to Orion goats. On defense, running out Moira is very risky because it's very easily countered by the likes of an Ana switch or a Diva eating those orbs. So very ballsy pick here. And on the other side, they're just going to run the standard Zen goats, looking to rotate onto point and use that Discord orb to have the damage advantage and end the fight quickly. So both teams having different win conditions. One to make this fight quick and clean, the other to make it brawly and long and drawn out. Whichever way the fight goes will decide this map though.
We'll see how this first fight goes, because Shinko happy to swing away, charge up there, but does go down to Arendelle early on. Not exactly what you want, especially with the charge now, going out for attention. I love those little charges like that. It's just happy to just swing away, knowing that opposite numbers not there to contest. And now the attacking team just backing off here, trying not to die. City user does go down though, and maybe they just want to try and charge their own ults there and just reset.
That was actually a very good use, and to be fair, they would have probably lost that fight. Oh, they're going to get a stagger. Oh, Tonsko may get staggered. Oh no, a great bubble actually is going to save him, but on the side, Leah actually already building up that coalescence, and Incendient was low for a long period of time, but was getting kept up by the sustain of Leah there. So, you know, as much as I did knock the Moira pick, they are actually going to use that sustain to their advantage, or they're going for a very late rotation. They may get caught out here.
See what they do, because this rotation going now on to point. We see the coalescence coming in, so I think Diamond's just happy to wait that out a little bit before they make their move. And Shinko there with a pretty low shield, happy to swing away. And now we see that a Graviton coming out left, right, and centre. Gilbeat is looking red right here. Diamond's getting on point, getting the kills they need. They're going to have 2 minutes 48 plus 30. So they're going to have a lot of time on the clock to get that next tick. And look at the ultimate advantage they have as well.
They have a massive ultimate advantage, although they could have had a much better one. Shinko using that Shatter in a situation that I don't really think was optimal. On top of the Graviton Surge, you know, it prevented them from shielding, but what was there to shield? You had your Brig, you had your Reinhardt, you had your Fire Strikes. They're fighting into a Graviton Surge and a Sound Barrier, though, and on top of that, they do have the Diva to combo with the Graviton as well, so maybe you wait for motion to get the Graviton, have a few dry pushes, and you know, build up these 6 ultimates. You have the time, and you only need 33%.
We'll see what they do here, because they're pushing on to the point now. Bubble already used. We do see Finger Back combo coming out. It does point Zupo, making this a 6v5. We do see the Transcendence being used from Zeki as well, so it's going to be interesting to see what Diamonds do here. Ascension does go down, so they have perhaps a little bit of an opportunity here if they can get some more kills quickly, but the Sound Barrier coming out from Aaron Bjorn, keeping the defending team alive. Also the Coalescence as well. A few big ults there used on the defense.
I would say this is another occasion where teams are over-investing for, you know, cleanup and just trying to quickly clean up the fight, but right there you use 3 major ultimates actually, including the rally as well. The sound, but use all 3 of your support ults, and really when the fight was already won. Shinko, of course, building to that Shatter, and Incendient is going to match that, but on that side, Motion gonna get near that Grav, maybe build it up in this fight if you can get charged up, and they have the rally as well to keep them topped up, which are gonna pop on the engage here.
See what they do. Look at that shot! Off the end, doesn't really manage to find too much. Looked awesome though. Counter Shatter though. Not only looked awesome, but was awesome from Shinko. The rest of Diamonds here pushing onto the point, trying to get some kills there. They're doing just that. I think they're going to be able to take this one. They're going to be able to come back into this series. There we go. We've got a series on our hands.
2-1. Don't let your screen confuse you. That's Diamonds SR Forever. Taking the 3rd map and bringing it back to a 2-1 here. So, are we possibly going to see a reverse sweep? Well, we don't know yet, but what we do know is that Shinko is getting here with the play of the game. I can only assume it's this massive Shatter into the Graviton Surge. Oh, you love to see it. You love to see those massive Earth Shatters, as we've been seeing all series long. And one thing I want to bring to the attention of the viewers right now is to keep an eye on, you know, on these bubble timings. We see that Diamond SR Forever are actually bringing them out a bit early. I touched on this on Gibraltar, but the way that Diamond SR Forever is playing is actually, you know, a different style compared to TAPAZ. Diamond SR Forever using that bubble early, trying to get that charge, and then playing aggressive on their 2nd bubble rotation. Whereas TAPAZ uses that 1st bubble rotation to engage quickly on and punish that bad bubble timing from the side of Diamond SR Forever, and it has worked for TAPAZ so far, but Diamond SR Forever pulling it back there. Those 2 styles are from 2 different regions. The early bubble coming from more EU contenders, Team Giganti, teams like that, whereas TAPAZ is currently playing the style favored by the likes of Runaway, or as we currently know them, the Vancouver Titans, and you know, other Korean contenders teams. So you know, these bubble cooldowns are something that you really want to be keeping an eye on throughout this series, and it could have really come down to that. And you know, Diamond SR Forever playing those bubbles a little bit better than they currently are if they want to, you know, bring it back to a you know, a 5th map here.
That's we are going to the next map, which is going to be super exciting. And if you are joining, we are not playing Magic the Gathering, so apologies for the title, etc. We thought that had been changed pre-broadcast. Obviously not. We are working on getting that updated, so do not worry yourself. Hope you're enjoying the Overwatch though, because we certainly are. And we're going to be going to King's Row as well, so it'll be interesting to see what defensive strats come up on this one.
King's Row, of course, is the home of tank compositions. Even back when Dive was meta, you usually played at least a Death Ball composition. That Ryan Zarya, very strong on this map, even from the start of the game. But right now, we are likely going to see more, more of these tank-heavy, support-heavy compositions. These 3/3s, or maybe even a quad tank if a team is really feeling a bit up to the task. But only time will tell. We can't really tell from the insta locks as of yet. On defense, it does look like the side of Diamond SR Forever are currently going to run that Zenyatta Goat standard defense. On the offense, it does look like they're looking for maybe a double sniper composition here. If they with Karosh on the Zarya rather than that Diva, and that could really work. It really it helps to get around that shield and maybe get a free shot on the backline if if these snipers play it right and create a crossfire on the point.
We'll see what they do here, because Juicermaker on the Widowmaker very well this entire series. Maybe looking for some cheeky picks. They're not going to go with the Glad strat, do you reckon, where they try and go around and... No, okay, they're showing the Widowmaker off early. The shots are coming out.
Of course, the Gladiator strategy was more so to pretend it was goats and then take the rotation, whereas there it would have just been to more so, hide the Widowmaker until late. But it does look like right now both snipers are going to play around the statue, and Icon actually playing more right side. So they're looking for the different sight lines. That's a good anti-grenade to start off the fight.
Just looking to try and get a few shots from that high ground. Does find Hugo early on. That could be huge. Ascension goes down with the spawn advantage on the side of the attackers here. Juicermaker just uncontested, raining down from above, and we've already got a second strikeout as well. That was impressive.
That's exactly how you want to play that. Even though their Reinhardt went down, it's very hard to play a Reinhardt against the Goats comp. You have the break, you have the extra sustain on the enemy Reinhardt. But that was perfectly executed. Juicermaker took a great angle. Viacone took a different angle that allowed him to get that Dragon Strike so fast. And the cleanup was very swift, and they take that point. And now look at the time bank, and look at the ultimates as well. They have a bit of an advantage. They're using the Infrasight right now, and Motion's going to have to match Juicermaker here, but that's going to be very hard with the double snipers.
Oh my god,
right away!
Big onto Motion. This has been the snipers matchup so far, and look at how far that payload's moved already. It's going to get pretty far here. If you're on the defense, you just need to regroup, get in, and try and get some presets.
I would say double sniper is one of the best space creation compositions in this game. You can't even push into those sight lines, because if you shield the Hanzo, the Widowmaker's going to get a free shot, and it works the other way as well. So right now, this double sniper is being played to perfection, and City user is going to have to match that and put pressure on the snipers. Otherwise, Motion's just going to have to deal with two sniper sight lines at once.
Trying to avoid those sight lines is pretty hard for Team Play there, because Juicermaker with the early pick as well. We see this Shatter coming out with Ascension, swinging away with the Nano Boost as well. All of that damage, able to charge 40% towards the next Shadow already. We do see the Nano Boost coming out onto Shinko though, having to back off a little bit though, because very low health. And this payload is still moving.
Again, we've seen it 3 or 4 fights in a row now. Motion or City user both, my mistake, Juicermaker or Viacone, getting those early picks and taking out a key target in the fight. That fight, it was the main support. Before that, it could have been a Juicermaker that SMGing down Motion. But yeah, this is what this sniper is good at. It's good at taking the snowball and running with it, getting these picks, not letting them fully reset, and they just haven't had a chance to, as we've seen.
Team's looking for some early picks here. Juicermaker taken down to quite low health there, finished off by Motion as well. This is what the defense need. We've got City user on the high ground, firing those arrows off. There will be the combo here, but Sound Barrier just in time keeping the defenders alive. No, they do go down. Super goes down to the Dragon Strike of Viacone there. This payload is still moving on. If you're the defense though, you should be able to regroup and contest once more.
you have one more fight if you're the defense, but you want that sound barrier back. There's no way you're going to survive that. And now, and they have to fight with their own. That split, that's actually a very great.
That was a great Dragon Strike, but also a great Transcendence there from Arian Bjorn. Keeping his tag team alive. Speaking of great things, look at that shatter. Shinko pushing forward. The nades have been absolutely excellent for Ziki all game long.
Shinko is 1 HP right now. He survived barely. That Dragon Strike was fantastic. It split off the entire front line of the Zarya and the Reinhardt, and the rest of their team, and they forced out the Transcendence just to try and keep Incendient alive, but in the end, got shattered. That shattered was very well done. Great cleanup, and you know, won them that fight. Got you 1 pick. Sometimes you don't need these big ultimates, but rather just that guaranteed pick and win you a fight. Speaking of guaranteed picks,
Maker with the headshot, but Zippo with the boot from Ascension shuts down that push pretty early on.
and that's right there. It's going to be the end of it. They're going to chase down Viacone, and that's going to stagger him out a little bit. An extra 10 or 20 seconds off the clock. A great boot coming out from Zupo there to turn that fight around. You know, Maker very nearly, you know, getting that pick onto City User and nearly, you know, starting another snowball that we've seen so many times on this map so far. Instead, taking out the main tank and you know, getting that advantage and flipping the fight back. And now Shinko, oh, that's an early bubble.
That's an early pick as well from Viacone. Let's see how that shatter comes out. Ascension doesn't manage to fight much. Is Nano though caught in the graviton now? The majority of the team is charged. Shinko's off, finishes off Ascension. This has been a really solid defense on third.
Shinko very nearly got punished there, though. The important thing is that he dropped so low, and the nano boost actually saved him. He was probably down to about 25, 30 health. One more Rhine swing would have done it. One more shot from a sniper would have done it. But he got nano boosted. He got the pin onto his opposite number in the graviton, and now he's in a great position with this Earth Shadow that I wonder if Insentient even knows he has it yet.
Well, I don't know. Maybe they've been doing their old tracking so far. You know, if you're a Reinhardt, you like to think you know what percentage of enemy Reinhardt is at. Oh my gosh. We do see the sound barrier as well from Sumo. This time keeping the team alive. The rest of Diamond's pushing up, trying to get a few stagger kills here. And in the meantime, Motion's just on that high ground, pumping the damage in.
They need to deal with Lupo. Zupo, sorry. He's went around the right side, wall riding behind the Rhine shield every single fight, and he's either displaced or completely killed Insentient every fight. They're going to try and deal with it with putting Kuroshi on the Sombra now, with putting Maker on the Zarya, but I don't know if it's enough. They need to identify Zupo and punish him here with the break stun, but they need to do it quickly. They only have a minute after having 4 minutes at the start of this point. Look at him. He's waiting for it again.
For it again. And look, Zupo going into the bit doesn't manage to fight back. Shinko managed to fire code as well. We see the Transcendence Force out from Arenville trying to keep this attack alive. Doesn't manage to keep his Zupo alive though, manages to kill him instead. Juicer making a pick early on as well. This cart is moving. If you're the defense here, you need to get some picks in Ascension there. So low. Aaron Bjorn there, finishing off Motion as well. We see the Graviton coming out, capturing a few people on point, but they need to touch, and they're charged there from Shinko, finishing off Viacone, managing to stall the point a bit as well, and whew, that defense was pretty exciting there at the end.
That was very close. I don't know if anyone saw, but Tomsky was actually hacked up. Their win condition for that fight was using the Graviton and cleaning up, but he got hacked and he had to use the Graviton alone. Luckily, he was high charge, so he could actually get the follow-up, but that was very nearly a disastrous moment for Diamond SR for
Oh, Zupo's going for another boot, doesn't quite make it. They should have learned by now that Zupo is possibly right with on the map. On the defense here, we see the Dragon Strike now coming out from City User. Doesn't manage to catch much, but now the EMP comes out for us. We see the attack coming forth from TAPAZ. They're getting the kills 1 by 1, but so is Motion getting a headshot. Oh! There is Shatter as well. My gosh, there's plenty of action on both sides here. Tom's just trying to stay alive, keep the dream alive. City User dropping down as well. Now the Shatter coming up to Shinko as well. Fine. Vital time for the defense. Vital time for his teammates to get back up to that point. And now we see the sound barrier as well. Oh my god, people getting knocked off the point, the defense need to keep someone on this point at all time. We are in overtime here. Now we're seeing City User back on the wrecking ball, swinging around, but the attack here is just so strong. Target focus, that shatter as well. They're going to march that in, and whew, that could have gone either way then.
Not being aware of Zupo nearly cost them that entire round again. Knocking off the Zarya, but it just wasn't quite enough. But he nearly got that, knocked off the Zarya, which got him the sound barrier, and that sound barrier nearly allowed them to clean up. Karosh came back on the Tracer though, and he was putting down a hell of a lot of damage as well. So overall, a fantastic offensive round at the end there, but they need to be more aware of Zupo. He's going to continuously tear this team apart. Reinhardt after Reinhardt.
What an exciting matchup there. Into overtime as well. This is a really good series so far. Yep, there's 2-1 in favour of TAPAZ, but they nearly didn't make it to the end there, and now we've got a fight on our hands. And King's Row is such a good map as well for showing your versatility of your comp strike. Because on first point, you've got those Widow spots, right? And on third point, you've even got Widow spots. But throughout second, where it's quite close and compact, you can do a lot with a really good 3-3 heavy goat style composition. But if you're motion here, I think you just stay on the Widow, right?
If you're motion, you stay on the Widow, you stay with what's working. You could even mirror what happened last round and run a double sniper composition of your own. Cities are also showing that far. I'm not sure how accurate that pick actually is, but I doubt they're going to run the Torbjorn, that's for sure.
I don't know. Maybe a DeFran fan on the team. Oh, okay, I'll go debated.
I thought they were maybe actually going to run the triple DPS there because they were showing that and showing a good composition to run with that, but in the end, no. 3-3. I'm going to keep an eye on the bubble engagements here. Already both personal bubbles have came out here. Nothing really happening yet. Still just jockeying. Now there's Shinko's bubble, and that's immediately a great pick, actually.
It's a fantastic pick if you are on the attack here. You have the spawn advantage, and you have the numbers of... They're pressing forward motion, getting the pick so high charge already, and they're going to be able to take this first point with ease.
That was quite the easy fight, getting that early pick on the Brigitte provides so much. Not only does it take down, that third piece of healing, but it also gets rid of the possibility of your Ryan getting shield bashed, so there's not really a chance for Zen to get a Discord, and it just means that, this kind of fight snowballs the second that your Brigitte goes down, especially at higher levels of play.
Loving the aggression here from the attack.
They even get Karosh as well, so that's a very, very nice stagger. They nearly got Lee as well because they ended up with a very bad spawn as well. So, they still have to wait for Karosh to get his neck back, sitting about 81%. So for now, they're just probably going to play corner, and there we go. Now they can start pushing. Although a Graviton comes out.
So you're pushing. Here's the Graviton. We do see the self-destruct coming out as well. The attention there with the shield to block that. And now we see the shadow from Shinko putting a few members of the defending team on their back. But no real follow-up as yet. Sound barrier now coming out from the defense. From the attack as well. Bit of a scuffed shadow there. Both teams with a lot of sustain in the time the cart is moving on. But Viacone, they're getting early pick onto City User. Kill feed this time is red. And now the defense are getting aggressive. Look at this. They are trying to get some staggers.
The story of this of the series continues to be the main tank battle, and what we see in this fight is not necessarily a bubble misuse, but rather, the side of Incendian actually just has a better shield health. His shield is way healthier than Shinko's was. Shinko's on the brink of breaking there, and it just provides him to protect his team so much more from that poke damage. Shinko is sat behind, so he could maybe try and get a pin back to his team, or maybe just regroup here like he's going to now. So. Nothing coming from that, but that could have been bad if he got punished. A big Graviton already.
See what my team do with this absolute opiate. Oh my god! Orochi with the 3.5k there. 4k maybe. Whatever you want to call it. There was a D-Mech and 3 other kills in that kill feed. And that is what you want from your bigger bang combos.
And finally we see an executed bigger bang. That's the big composition we see. Actually, Incendian's barrier just got broken. That could be a great chance to maybe get some poke damage through, but he forced the trance.
The trance was out so early there. That could be absolutely huge here. We see the shatter as well. That is wasted. There's a lot of ults coming out. Another shatter this time from Shinko. Doesn't manage to catch much. You're on the attack here. You've got to be happy with that. You're now getting the armor there from the rally as well. You want to press forward and make use of that. And that is exactly what they're doing. Pushing around that corner. Getting the kills. And I did not expect to see a Transcendence that early.
He got caught out of position. He pushed deep to try and build up to that trans, put extra poke damage through. But his team backed off and he was left alone. He was about to get punished. He had to do something or get staggered. And he used the Transcendence, but the team wasn't ready to follow up. And even Kurosh got demeched. And that's actually going to be the end of point B right there. That fight was disastrous on the side of TAPAZ. Really, you want that fight to be over as quick as possible. And luckily, Bjorn is very close to his next Transcendence, so not going to lose too much from that after he got so much value on the backlines.
4 minutes left on the clock here.
That's big.
As well, another finger back combo. Will it pay off? Tom Sky there. The attack getting aggressive. We see the shatter.
Big shatter
coming out from Shinko. That allows him to wrap up this fight. Although maybe I'd have kept the shatter there for the next fight, because Incention's going to be coming out with one of his own, and we've been seeing excellent shatters from Incention all series long.
So right now we currently see tank ult versus support ult, offensive versus defensive. Oh! I thought Zubo was about to already get a boop onto the Reinhardt.
Nearly, but Liam gets the boop onto Shinko there. We do see the self-destruct coming out from the defending team here. Doesn't manage to catch much. Both teams just brawling it out. This has descended into a little acts of violence all over the place. Now we see the graphical surge coming out. The attack motion gets the kill on Talia there, but falls himself to the poke damage there. And the attacking team are going to have to back off. But they've got a lot of progress here, and they've got 3 minutes on the clock.
Do still have 3 minutes, but if you are the side of Diamond here, you wanted to be building those ultimates. You wanted to save them. You're in a perfectly great position to just hold those ultimates and try and maybe build up to having the big six-pack. Instead, they try to invest the sound barrier. Instead, they try to invest the Transcendence and the rally and get nothing from it. Even the Graviton. And now they're fighting into Shadow and the rally of their own, along with sound barrier and Transcendence. This is not a good fight. Oh!
That was a good shatter, though, and that's what you want, right? Just invest one ultimate, win a fight.
And that's what you want, like you say. That's a good ultimate economy. One ultimate, one fight, that's fantastic. And now, that gives them time to build up to the rest. They have the Transcendence they didn't have before. They have the sound barrier, they have the rally, they have the Diva Bomb. They're very close to a Graviton as well, and Insentient is going to be building up very quickly here, especially if the, in these Reinhardt duels where you get so much ult charge.
So I'm just off forever. Need to win out on this map as well. Gets the bit of City early on, but it might not matter here because Shinko and Motion are pushing forward, getting kills of their own. Motion very high charge here with that laser beam pumping the damage in. The Juicemaker does go down. This could be the opportunity that Diamond SR forever need. And they need to get this to the end here. They need to win out on this map to stay in the series. It is 2-1. Not in their favor at the moment. We see the Transcendence now coming out from Zeke. Giving the attack. He did with another boot there as well. How many environmental kills has this man got throughout this match so far? I do not know, but it's going to be in double figures at least. We see the self-destruct coming out as well. Doesn't manage to catch much. With the defending team now coming back in numbers. They're looking to get some kills here, but it's actually the team in blue that are getting the kills. Look at that kill feed there. Leah trying to get some boots of balls to the hammer of Shinko. And now the clock melting people left, right, and center, and they get it to the end.
They get it to the end with more than a minute. That now means that this map is unlosable for the side of Diamond SR forever. So they are safe. We are at the very least, going to a map 5. Of course, this is a first to 3 map format. And right now, look at the side of Diamond SR forever. They need 33.3%. They have a minute and 5 seconds. This next minute and also is about to decide this map. And do we say the series? I don't know. Do we say it decides the series?
It could do. It really could do. 1 minute. This is going to be an absolutely mad minute here. This is. I'm excited to see what comes out the gates. Yes, they've locked in Torbjorn again, but they did that last time and switched on to Goats. Maybe they're going to choose to go to Goats again. Yeah, so We'll see what they do when they get back on point. Motion here on the Tracer, maybe? I don't know. I'm getting debated here. Let's look at defensive composition. They've gone for Antidotes here. So they are going to have the utility of that biotic grenade, right, to stop some of the healing perhaps coming in from the attacking supports. And they're going to choose to hold just around the side there of the Alderworth Hotel. Looks like a lovely hotel.
That hotel, the Alderworth Hotel, is home to a lot of the omics of King's Row here, but right now there are two very important omics on the field, Ziki and actually no omnic on the side of TAPAZ here, but they are going to jockey for position, and the stun goes straight on, as does the Discord.
Ascension is down already. This could be what they need. That skill feed is blue. Diamond SR forever. Back in the running here. They're going to be able to take this first point. You know, England, the home of James Bond. I know Diamonds are forever. I think it was Sean Connery. So, but James Bond's British in general, right? And they proved him proud. We are 2-2 in the series, right? So we're going to go to a decider. This is exciting.
Doesn't even matter. I was asking around, you know, thinking, do we go to a map 5 if this is a draw? My question got answered in the form of, we don't need a draw. We don't need that question answered because we are going to that map 5. Obviously, Incenti also having a fantastic showing on that Reinhardt. King's Row being the home of Reinhardt play in Overwatch, you know, fantastic map for him. But right there, this is a fantastic situation if you're Diamond SR now, because you know we mentioned at the start of this series, whoever wins, whoever you know carries their momentum and keeps their momentum going is going to win this series. And now Diamonds SR has the momentum going into map 5. They are now in the driver's seat of this series.
We could see a reverse sweep here, and if you are just joining us, both of these teams are already through the group stages, right? They will be going to playoffs, but this map decides who is going to be seeded first, which means you're going to be playing perhaps the slightly less hard team, should I say, from the other groups, right? So it just gives you that little bit of advantage early on playoffs, allows you to progress a little bit further, and you know, even get a bit of a warm-up, so to speak, unless there's a big upset. So both teams here really wanting to get that first place, just to give them a little bit more of an advantage when they go through to the playoffs. But here we go, we're going to be going to university. Maybe we'll learn a few things.
Well, we are going to learn one thing, and that is who is going to be taking the advantage on Oasis, of course. Oasis being one of the most versatile maps on this current meta. You know, we mentioned a lot of fire on Lijiang. I'd say it's even more powerful here on Oasis, especially City Center, where we even saw triple DPS compositions before this meta broke out. We saw Team Canada in the World Cup try and run a triple DPS composition on City Center, but we're not on City Center, we're on University. And something I want to watch out for is a possibility of a Mei pick. I've seen Mei thrown around here a few times, and she can control those tight chokes heading at the point very well if played correctly, but as the insta-locks go, nothing showing as of yet.
Super on Torbjorn, just trying to debate us once more. I think we might see some more great Lucio play coming out, perhaps. Motion now the Bastion as well. Oh gosh, I think we're going to be seeing some pretty conservative compositions coming out from both sides, though. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, both sides running as Zenyatta. You mentioned good Lucio play, though. What I want to watch out is for main tanks getting booped into that big hole in the middle of the point. They have to. It's not an instant death. They have to walk around and walk back up. But usually that front line is going to be gone for a while. So keep an eye on Zupo, who last map was getting a lot of value out of Lucio, booping into that hole.
Zupo does go down first in this fight, though, which allows Ascension to just get that little bit more aggressive. And they're going to be using this opportunity to charge up some of their ultimates and blitz the point pretty early on, I would suspect. Oh, look at Z. Bye-bye.
A bit of a caster's curse there onto Zupo. I mentioned his name, and straight away we see that he goes down early, goes down, and once your team doesn't have that speed boost, it's very easy for the opponent to get that damage and get the swings in. You know, they have that. Even just the passive speed boost is more than the regular walking speed. So that Lucio is so important. Although right now they're gonna go straight in on the Reinhardt.
Oh, Shadow coming out from Shinko. Hurts already on their backs here, but Shinko ends up falling in the end anyway. So not too much value out of that Shatter. And look at the ultimates here. Intention has his Shatter for next fight. Juicer Maker has the Graviton for next fight as well. It seems to be all in favor of TAPAZ.
That is, I don't understand at all how TAPAZ actually survived that. They used only the rally, and that armor alone was enough to make them survive an Earthshatter. I am very confused right now, but as you say, 5 ults versus 5 ults. Only the difference being one of them is an Earthshatter, and one of them is not. So it looks like we're gonna have to see if Incentian can pull out what he's been doing all series. Maybe hit a massive shatter here.
We do see the Graviton coming out. We don't know if combos or self-destruct managed to catch much. Incentian catches Zupo there with the Fire Strike instead. So don't need too many more ults investing here if you are on the side of TAPAZ here. We do see the Transcendence just keeping them alive throughout that Graviton, and they're just pushing forward and getting a few cheeky stacks.
Tomsky is going to get staggered out, but if you're the side of TAPAZ using that Transcendence, you're fine with it. The only reason you really need a Transcendence here, aside from maybe a burst of healing if your Reinhardt gets dangerously low, is that Graviton. So you're fine trading the Zenyatta ultimate for the Graviton. However, the other team does not have theirs, and look at the percentage difference between Zeki and Juicemaker. So watch out for that in this next fight, especially with Juicemaker being so high charge.
Dynastar Forever need to win out on this fight if they want to stand a chance of winning University here.
Straight away!
Zupo already down. This is a super tough ask. Self-destruct comes over the top, tries to catch at least something, doesn't, and Motion ends up falling. So they've lost out on University here, I think. We do have Tom Sky there just trying to get through alive, but will end up falling. And the shatter at the end there for Ascension. Just asserting his authority. We will be going to another map though. It's not over yet, but what do you take from that if you are Diamond off?
I mean, just looking at TAPAZ in particular though, their ult economy was nearly perfect, and if you want an idea of how good their ult economy was, they finished that round with all 3 tank ultimates. They were using no more than 2 ultimates per fight, and I think if you're Diamond SR Forever, you have to up your ult economy game. You have to think about, you know, what can we do? Maybe running a Sombra, allowing you to get those EMPs and shift ult economy back in your favor could be the key here. But you know, you've got to pull out you've got to pull everything out in this final map situation. And now it goes down to this for Diamond SR Forever, their dream of a reverse sweep. They need to get through City Center and take us to that 3rd map here on Oasis.
We do have City user back on that Pharah, and Shinko as well on the Winston. So Arubion's going to have a lot of pressure put onto him. Be interesting to see if he switches off after the first fight here, but first fight still going to happen. He fights him straight away. Now they're going to be seeing what the comp is, and oh, look at this. TAPAZ just trying to get back to spawn here, not feed too much ult to their opponents. I think they're just happy to give the first tick away so they can regroup and come back.
If we think back all the way to Lijiang Tower, the first fight of the first point of Lijiang Tower it started like that. City user getting that early pick on Iron Bjorn, and throughout the series, when he's ran far, he's been putting down so much consistent damage. I also mentioned the Sombra Motion picking that up, trying to play it's a bit like a dive comp, but Incentian is also hacked. This is not good.
This is not good. And Karosh needs to be putting some pressure onto that pharmacy, but finding it really, really hard to do that and also peel for his support as well. Juicemaker goes down to the Tesla cannon of Shinko. Shinko diving up onto that high ground as well, putting some pressure on. Look at this, Karosh is just trying to put some pressure onto that pharmacy. In the meantime though, City is just happy to ignore him and just send the rockets into the rest of his team there. Zupo getting a few picks as well. Always good to see Zen in the kill feed, especially if you're a Jonak fan, right? Karosh finally managed to get a pick. This one was a motion though, but it doesn't really matter at this stage.
This fight is very messy though, we've been trading back and forth. Incentian though was sat at very low HP for a long period of time, so Shinko was able to punish that, and however he did trade his own life for it, so they, both Zenyatta sing very close to, if not already having that Transcendence. A lot of ultimates coming online in this fight. It's all just going to come down to the engage and how clean they can do it.
City user looking for that barrage there. And we see the stuff just there. Coming out from Tom Sky. Doesn't manage to do anything. The guys bring it back in next. City user picks up Aaron Bjorn again though. Zenyatta now down. Juicemaker with a flashbang stun onto Motion. There's just kills a piece for both sides here. The point though is ticking up in favour of Diamond's SR Forever, but Incentian is just an Incentian killing machine. At this moment in time, look at that kill feed, just pushing forward. They do manage to flip it, but it's gonna be about 90%, is it? 88% on the clock there for Diamond SR Forever. You gotta be happy with that, and with the ultimates that you still have in the bank.
You're in one fight territory. You have the ultimates. If you are DSRF, you just want to simply save those ultimates. You want to try and draw, like take 2 or 3 fights where you don't use an ultimate. Call for dry pushes and just draw out some of these big ultimates. Or get a hack on an Iron Beyond and maybe pick him off immediately.
Oh! Firecone goes down to the rockets for City User first. This time around, City User looking for that barrage as well, putting pressure on Chico. Diving forward, finishes off Juice to make himself going rival. Just batting the Diva into the wall there, and I think they're going to be able to win this back. They should do. We see the sound barrier coming out from Leah there, but too few people on point at the moment. We've got the Transcendence now, though, coming out from Aaron Bjorn to try and help his team just get back to point, really. They need to keep some point pressure on until they get there. Does manage to get the pick onto motion here. Ziki going for the res, though, does get the resurrection. Now we see City use that barrage against Juice Maker. Incension is back, but Hack coming off as well. A lot of the red team here. Hacked on point. We see the rally as well. Oh my gosh, Michael just managing to stay alive there. Was on such little health before that rally. This fight is going on so long here. They took diamonds off forever. This fight is forever so far. Both teams just wanting to get a pick here. And remember, this percentage. Oh my god! 3K there! Got the 3K! That ends that fight. And in the meantime, look at that percentage. It's been ticking up in favor of TAPAZ this whole time.
This is now last fight. They only got 1 fight on the offense, and they burned all of their ultimates to do it. The only thing they're gonna have is that Primal Rage, but they're making the swaps over to Goat's Comp, but this is too late. You had that 1 fight, you needed to reset or clean up. You did neither, and now this is disastrous if you're on the side of Dinosaur forever.
Well, they've got to make something happen now. They're coming in, they're looking for some targets. They do manage to find Juicer Maker here. Ziki, those orbs, gets the headshot. Now we are in overtime. Ziki with the 2K there. Ziki is getting the pick as well. This is crazy. I did not expect this to happen this way. We see the Primal Rage as well coming out from Chico. Lots of people around there. You see people on point, and that's exactly what they're doing. This point is going to flip 88% left. We might see someone touch here from TAPAZ, but it's going to be difficult.
Cautiously mech'd.
Yeah.
Oh, disastrous.
Look at that.
What we see in the fight, though, now actually, Incendient is going to touch the point, but he needs to get more value. He needs to get a lot with a pile driver. Maybe even build up mines, but he can't.
We do have numbers coming on point from TAPAZ, though, but they're all spread out at this moment in time. We see the self-destruct coming up as well. This could be there. Does manage to point do both. And now we've got the rally as well coming out from Firecode there. Aaron Bill getting the pick as well. Oh my god, I can call what's going to happen here. But now we get the coming out. We see the self-destruct as well. This should wrap it up. Yes, gets the D-Mech onto Karosh there. And now we've just got Intention on the Wrecking Ball, who gets done, gets deleted. And oh my gosh, we are going to the last map here. The last map of the series. This, are we going to see a reverse sweep?
We could well see it. They were in... It seems like this team just switches on to another gear when they are in a do-or-die situation. At the end there, Ziki was getting pressured out by Incendient on the Winston there. But City User plays the more peel-heavy Brigitte. He abandons his front line to save Ziki, puts the armor pack on him, and Ziki gets out with about 50 health, but it's enough. And Ziki picks up the kills, gets the Transcendence, and then saves his entire team with the Transcendence. So clutch plays coming out from City User and Ziki respectively. And well, how fitting that after such a series, such an incredibly action-packed series that we've had before us, it goes to the final point of the tiebreaker map.
I am so excited to see what happens next. I could not call what is going to happen. We've got both teams here. Early some confidence. Pushing forward. Some bubbles already used. Now the brawl is coming out. Both Reinhardt swinging away at each other. We see the disboard onto Shinko though, who's having to keep his shield up a little bit more just to stay alive, make sure he's got the hit. The bubble comes out, but he's having to back off. Tom Sky there as well has been demeched early on. So advantage here for TAPAZ. Leah getting the pick onto Shinko as well. Could be used. Incentive's down as well. Both rallies up from both teams. A lot of sustain. Point has unlocked, so the winner of this fight will get that percentage ticking up in their favour. And now we've got the Transcendence up already from Aaron Bjorn, giving this team that extra sustain they need to push this fight forward and try and get some picks. They don't manage to do so just yet. As I say that, though, Geico kills Ziki. They've got the sound barrier as well that they've invested to try and keep themselves alive through that graviton. Their motion ends up falling. And this point will flip to TAPAZ.
Look at the side of Diamond Star Forever though. They have the Earth Shadow, they have both support ultimates, and they're coming up on a rally as well. And the D-Bomb's not far behind either. You're perfectly fine in the situation after that first fight. You have him slight ultimate advantage. However, in that fight, what we did see was the D.Va getting demeched early. That's so tough on your Reinhardt because that means that there's no matrix for his shield. He takes such a large amount of damage on the shield that he can't protect his team. And you heard me mention on King's Row that shield health is so important in GOATs.
It's an interesting rotation here. Well, we see now the bigger man combo coming out. The self-destruct is in there. It falls Shinko as well. That is exactly what you want, because you don't want to kill the entirety of the enemy team. You need something to build your ult charge up of afterwards, and that's exactly what TAPAZ are doing.
Incendium with a fantastic pin there. Not only did he pin him into the D.Va bomb, but he also pinned him out of line of sight of his Lucio, meaning he didn't get the sound barrier. And that is why he died to that, that's why he didn't survive it. And also, we saw that on top of all of that, Leah gets the boop onto Zeke, who's using that Transcendence at the time, but they're going to make the swap over to the Ana now, so they trust that they're going to get the Biotic Grenades to really put the pressure on the front line when those bubbles are down.
So he's back on the power pump.
Oh!
Fantastic clutch Transcendence though from Arendelle, keeping the rest of TAPAZ alive here. 75% on the clock. They are getting the kills. Motion chooses to commit suicide there. And Diamond Star Forever need to come in. They need to win this next fight.
They need to win this next fight, and they have made the swap. City User onto the Fire last fight, almost to that Rocket Barrage. Zupo onto the Moira. Zeke still in the Ana and Motion on the Tracer. Shinko has to touch with his Wrecking Ball, but once he does, this fight is going to be an incredibly large brawl on the point. I don't know where this is going to go. I don't know which way it's going to go.
We're in overtime. We see the barrage come out. It does get Leah. However, City User dies because it's a barrage against the shields of Incendium there. But look at this. Kill feed is blue. Tom's guy racking up the kills as well. They need to keep someone on point though. Overtime Wick was going down a little bit there. Juicemaker, Rush choose to reset here, and they're in a pretty good position. 99% is great, and they're going to have a grab next fight as well.
Again, we've said this word a lot, dry pushes. They just need to take 1 or 2 fights. Draw out this D.Va bomb, draw out the Nano Boost. You can take these fights and force them to use ultimates on you while you don't really have to use any. And I will say, City User did kill himself on the barrage, but he also got that key pick onto the Lucio. And I mentioned that this GOATS comp is just completely immobile without that Lucio. So very good pick, very good awareness of who to really target. And now they have to fight into this point, and Sentient nearly gets knocked off there.
Yeah, City User trying for the boot there. But a lot of pressure being put on City User. The bubble there, just keeping them alive. Now we see the rally coming out from Berko there.
Tom's guy!
Oh my gosh! Grab was denied by Tom's guy. That could prove vital here. We see the self-destruct though coming over the top. Has managed to fight. Shatter by 2 people there. Intention with a crazy shatter. Tom's guy there with the self-destruct of his own finds intention though. There's picks on both sides. Diamond needs to stay alive. There we go. We see the barrage from City User takes out Firecone. Diamond should be able to stabilize here. They just need to keep that extra healing going. City User as well, just pumping in the damage. They need to keep people on point. They need to keep Shinko alive. And now we see the Graviton as well. That will wrap this fight up. And 66% in their favor at the moment.
Shinko stayed alive in that fight, and that's the key moment. You know, we mentioned we put a lot of pressure on these main tanks. We put a lot of value in those main tanks. I think Zupo may be going to make a swap, possibly to a Lucio or a Mercy to accompany. Oh, looks like we're going to a pause actually.
Maybe. What a time to pause.
Very, very good time to pause, and I think it's good that we get to catch our breath for a second because that last fight was so close. Like I was saying, Zupo probably going to go over to a Mercy to accompany City User, but in the meantime, Incendium went down early, and we put a lot of emphasis in the importance of these main tanks. It just allowed Shinko to have that extra reach to push deeper into the enemy team, into TAPAZ's backline, and just get that Earthshatter value. And look at the percentage he's on right now. He's on 92% at the moment. So they have an ultimate advantage, and they have an ultimate advantage in a situation where TAPAZ cannot take a dry push. They have to fully invest in this next.
And that is
I believe we are just having a few Discord issues right now, but
Go, we are back. So the game was paused because players are having Discord issues, and we get Discord issues several seconds later. So you know that the players weren't making it up there. But going back to what we were talking about, 78% is going to be ticking up, and by the time TAPAZ get back to point, and by the time they take the next fight, it's going to be in lost fight territory pretty much. So if Shinko can get a really good shatter off, he might be able to win out this series on his own sim here. But Zupo is dead. Going to have to get back to point, but does have that fade to be able to get back a little bit quick.
Everything does really rest on this shadow from Shinko, and Zupo making this swap right now is also going to really decide where this fight is going to go. You can very easily see that if Shinko maybe whiffs the shadow and Incendian can move a bit deeper into the backline, he can get those swings off. He can build a shadow himself. You know, we've mentioned how fast these Reinhardts can build a shadow, and if he gets that off, we've seen some big shadows this series. I think it's only fitting that this last fight comes down to a big shadow.
And also, if you look at the Zarya's as well, Juicemaker halfway towards the next Graviton. The longer the fight goes on, the closer Juicemaker's going to get to that grab, and probably going to find that Graviton before Motion does. That could prove pivotal the longer the fight goes on. So, what we were just talking about, right? Shinko gets an early decent shatter, that could end things. If the shatter's whiffed or doesn't quite go to plan, maybe Juicemaker's going to have the ult that's going to be deciding this fight, but I couldn't call it at the moment. It's been so close all series long. Diamonds looking for that reverse sweep here, looking to get through into the first seed position in the playoffs. And TAPAZ as well, with such a great game so far, looking to do exactly the same thing. And both teams now, I think they're just about ready, and we should be getting underway fairly shortly. And like the next couple of minutes are just going to be like crazy. I can feel it.
Also, another thing that we failed to mention is Zupo is very close to that coalescence if they stay on this Moira. And they are going to do that. So they're going to also have the coalescence alongside the shadow. So this fight is actually fantastic for Dinosaur Forever, but they need to come up big with these ultimates. They cannot whiff them. This is basically a do-or-die situation for both teams, and City User is already going to chunk down damage and sit halfway to his barrage.
Shinko drops down off the high ground. He's looking for that opportunity to shatter. Swinging away at the end of the right hand. The shatter comes down. Doesn't manage to find too much. Coalescence coming out as well. Both teams trying to get the early pick on this fight. City User pumping the damage in as well. Nearly at that barrage. Looking to get a pick here, get some charge, get that barrage. We see the self-destruct come out. The kill feed is looking red though. This does not look good for Diamonds. Does look good for TAPAZ at the moment. We're seeing ult come out left, right, and center though. Tom's going with the big Ostalia with the self-destruct as well. Now the barrage coming down. Doesn't manage to find too much. There's a great flail there in City User space, and this could be it. I think we're going to be seeing TAPAZ taking this. We do have Shinko back on the wrecking ball, swinging around on that point, trying to keep the dream alive, caught in the Graviton though, and Zupo there just trying to stay alive on that Moira, but does end up falling. I think TAPAZ have taken this. What a fight.
That fight was incredible, and it does seem like TAPAZ are going to be taking this fight very quickly. We mentioned it coming down just to Shinko's shatter. He whiffed it, and what did we say?
we see it right then and there, and TAPAZ will take it. Whew. Did you see how quickly everyone charged their ultimates during that fight, though? Like, as soon as that shadow came down, both teams like engaged each other. There were transcendences coming out. There were self-destructs coming out. And now, look, we're going to see Zupo here. I suspect this is going to be a transcendence of some sort.
A coalescence, yeah, coming out here.
Oh, sorry, coalescence, yep.
But what you're mentioning, all the ultimates coming on. The win conditions for each team were polar opposites there. The fight had to end quickly for the side of Dinosaur Forever, and it had to be drawn out, and they had to survive through ultimates on the side of TAPAZ. And as the result dictates, the last fight did end up drawing out for a long time for those ultimates to come online. So both teams played exceptional Overwatch here tonight, and we went the distance. 3 maps to 2 in favor of TAPAZ though, and they will take your first seed in the groups.
Yeah, I mean, if we'd have spoken about this game after the second match, about who's going to win it, right? We're talking about a reverse sweep for Diamond's SR Forever. Did I really think they could do it? I think I did, but I wasn't expecting them to, if you know what I mean. And now they've come all this way, and it was literally the last fight of the last map, of the last control point, all the way through. I mean, this couldn't have got any closer between these two teams. And there's been some great play from both sides here. I love the tank play from both, actually. The battle between Shinko and Insentient throughout was really, really fun to watch. And also like the cooldown usage as well of the different Zaryas. And the support lineup was fantastic. Aaron Bjorn there with some great mechanics on his orbs.
Well, I'd say before we finish things up, we should probably each of us. How about we pick a MVP for this match?
Oof, this is gonna be hard. I'm a little bit biased here because I do play tanks and supports, and I know that there was some really great Pharah play, right? But I think Insentient is probably my MVP. There were just some great shatters. He was quite intelligent with his Reinhardt play as well. Knew when to soft disengage, but also the teammates around him enable him to do that as well. You can't just put everything in one player in a game like Overwatch. So, but I'm still going to go with Insentient.
I would have to say that my MVP would actually be Juice to Maker on the side of TAPAZ. His Widowmaker was so strong, setting up the crossfires with Viacone on that Hanzo as well, and his Zarya play was very solid as well. We mentioned the bubble usage was a lot stronger on the side of TAPAZ, and he was building those Gravitons even faster than Motion, who a lot of the time was sitting at slightly higher charge than him. So overall, I think Juice to Maker, without a doubt, definitely contributed to TAPAZ's victory today. But end of the day, both teams put out fantastic performances, and I think that's something we can't forget, and we can't let the scoreline, dictate you to think either.
No, and talk about Widowmaker players. Well, Motion was fantastic on that Widowmaker, especially on Gibraltar as well. I love the Widow duel between Motion and Jutamaker there. That was absolutely fantastic to watch because it wasn't too one-sided. And sometimes in Widow duels, they do get a bit one-sided, right? And it forces the switch. But throughout Gibraltar, we saw a lot of great Widow play from both sides. And as you say, both teams playing extremely, extremely well. Both teams taking it down to the wire towards the end of the series as well. Both teams obviously going through to the playoffs, but it will be TAPAZ going into that first seed, whereas Diamonds Nest Off Forever will be getting that second seed. So congratulations to both teams for getting through to the playoffs in the first place.
Absolutely, and we've mentioned throughout the series, top seed, or first seed, or just what ranking in the group would actually mean, but if you will get the top seed, you're not going to get matched up against the top teams from the other groups, which, as as Spaceman has said many a time throughout this series, it's important that you don't face the strongest opponent straight away because you get to progress through. You get to start building that momentum, and especially in a meta where you can start to warm up on this GOATS composition, and there's seemingly an endless skill ceiling as long as you have the target focus. It's so important to get that momentum early and get that morale boost. And once you start to get in the mindset, we can do this. We know what we're doing, and you can start trusting yourself and your teammates. That's when you start to have the high-level gameplay, and getting that top seed and facing maybe a lower skill team early on allows you to get that ball rolling very early on.
It does indeed. But we are going to have to wrap things up here. Thank you very much for joining us. It's been fantastic to cast these two great teams. Make sure you follow them on Twitter, give them a bit of a search, follow the players as well. It's always good to support the teams and the players that you like, right? To give them that bit of a boost because they're doing really, really well, and they could do really well in the next Open Division. Who knows? You might see them in Contenders Trials, Contenders going forward. I'm certainly going to be looking out for a few of these players. And I'd just like to thank Yokai here as well for joining me on this cast. Always great casting with Yokai. And also Reef, who's doing all the production stuff behind the scenes. So everything you're seeing is down to him. We just give you our opinions, and I don't know how great those are, but I certainly enjoyed watching this match, and I hope you did too. And thank you everyone that joined us this evening. It's been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, thank you, Emmy, and well, yeah, that about wraps it up for us. Thanks for watching, everyone, and good night.